Welcome to the Fullcaster Podcast, episode 26. Today we are on location once again, this time at one of the most historic tracks, if not the most historic track in the country, Adams Motorsports Park, and with one of the most influential people in the sport that we can think of, and that is none other than Troy Adams. We're here at his track, like I said, Adams Motorsports Park, and it's been one of the most requested interviews since we got this thing started. And really looking forward to getting into it with Troy here in a little bit. And he's a busy man, so we'll try to rock and roll through the current events as quickly as possible. But speaking of one of the most requested things since we started doing this, when this comes out, we're recording on what the hell is today? 15th of March. And when this thing comes out on the 30th, it's going to be about a year.
Yeah.
Since we did the Darren live debut, but we were recording over that weekend. It actually came out April 4th or what have you, but about 1 year of the Fullcaster Podcast, and this is episode 26.
Yeah.
With a couple of other specials. It's pretty damn fun. Pretty cool we got this far.
It's crazy that it's gone so smoothly, too. I mean, how much we figured it out, but for sure it's been cool kind of going through the paddock, and everyone's really enjoying hearing everyone's story, you know. I think it's kind of helped bring some stuff together or just shed some light on some stuff.
Yeah, I think that's just it. We've said I don't know how many times, right? What's cool about the show is that you see the person, what show it is. Today it's Troy Adams, and you're like, yeah, I know Troy I've seen him at the track. Don't know two shits about him though. You know, I don't know anything about Troy other than his last name is Adams and Adams Motorsports Park, and that's
not a coincidence.
Yeah, and he's a hell of a driver coach. I mean, those are the things that I know and I can see, but I don't know him. You know, and that's what's been so cool through the entire deal is getting to hear the origin stories and just some cool the way everything's intertwined here. There's so many interconnected stories from all of our guests.
No, I think that's the big thing is Adams Motorsports Park has been the common name that we've heard throughout majority of these episodes.
Yep.
So to finally be here and gonna be able to hear a lot of it from Troy and everyone that he's seen come out and progress. Working.
He's
going to
go through like none of that ever happened.
Yeah,
they're lying.
But no, it's been a cool year getting the scene rolling, and it ain't stopping anytime soon.
No,
so
for sure.
We're gonna try to keep the scene rolling.
No, it's a pretty cool deal, and like I said, coming out here, and we haven't even gotten a chance to you and I have both been here on a practice day doing something else.
Right.
Like I remember Rob brought us out here just to. Hey, this is Adams. Like you've heard of it. This is what it is. So that was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I came out here to drop off parts once to Rod, and
I helped Giebler out with a track rental day one day. Yeah. So
never been on course.
Yeah.
Never been on the track. Never done a lap around here. Seen some videos, seen some different things, but I'd never gotten a chance to actually to get on course. And we're not going to get on track today either. It's actually
pretty
raining
moist outside.
Yeah, it worked out because we're here in the pro shop and we're going to get a chance to do this thing. But we're not getting on course today either, my friend. What we are going to do though is talk with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Troy Adams. And I think without further ado, let's bring on the man himself, Troy Adams. Come on over. Troy Adams, thanks so much for letting Derek and I come over here and hang out with you.
Oh, man, thanks for the opportunity to be on the show.
Man, I don't know that this is any kind of high point in your long and illustrious career, my friend. I know you get a chance to be behind the mic and in front of cameras and work with a bunch of people, but yeah, this is the third time we've done it on location. We went to Stu Hayner's place. We went to
Andy
Saisman's, but this is the first track other than obviously Cow Speed that we were at. And it's so cool looking around here in the pro shop and seeing all these different pictures I see Raquel Martinez over there, and there's Hallie Deegan's up on the thing, a bunch of motocross guys too. How long has Adams, before we jump into the Troy Adams deal, how long has the track been here, Adams Motorsports Park?
So we opened in 1959 was kind of the first time they opened in the dirt, and then we opened at 1960. So what's that, 62 something, 63 years. I don't know. Shoot, it's a long time.
Right, yeah.
Long time. Too long.
And who opened it originally?
Originally, we started from a birthday gift, actually, from John Bush and Ralph Bush. Crazy enough, it was just not a birthday. It was a Christmas gift. And My aunts and uncles bought it for them, and my uncles went around the neighborhood and terrorized the neighborhood in 2 go-karts. And my grandmother was just like, you know what, get out of the front yard and go in the backyard. And my grandfather drug a track in the backyard, and it was the original track right from the beginning.
So your family already owned this land itself?
Yeah.
And what was the relationship with the Bush brothers, and why was a Christmas present, or kind of what was just everybody was kind of hanging out with each other, terrorizing the joint, and like?
That's kind of always right. Big families, 13 siblings. But my uncles were big into the drag racing. Again, back then it was a little different, right, for minorities to be at a regulationed type racetrack. So they did a lot of illegal street drags, and they were really good back in the
late
day.
50s and early 60s kind of thing.
Late 50s, early 60s, they were real big in that. More again, illegal street drags,
Right.
and then they seen this little go-kart, little fun thing that they saw, and they bought one for their nephews, and started driving in the front yard, which the original house is still on the property. And my grandmother was like, "Oh no, you're going to kill yourself with the kids." Before they even got the go-kart at Christmas, the cart was torn up. They bought another one and drug. We were all on farmland, so this was farmland, and then they drug the track. Original half of the track. Early pictures dictate what that layout was, but we've never changed the original layout.
Oh, cool.
So it had the little Monza already in there. It had the bus stop already in there. The concession stand was a little kind of old-fashioned toy hauler that now is a building. But all of those original things I never took out.
Wow.
And that was kind of why it was back then kind of the number one deal. It was really technical right out the gate.
Well, and maybe speak on that real quick, because that's we're talking the early days of karting.
Yep.
So at this point, I know they got started like in the Rose Bowl in the park. Was it pretty much everything parking lots at the most? There wasn't a lot of tracks yet at that point.
No, you had Azusa.
Okay.
You had Azusa / Irwindale.
Okay.
Oh, right.
So
yeah.
that was a racetrack. I want to say there was one in Orange County as well.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. Then we did have some parking lot, but no, there were some original. Unfortunately, we actually will have some of the memorabilia from Faye Pearson, KMP. The original Bug Lady, just passed away on us. So
Right.
God bless her. We have some pictures that will have some of the
cool.
old karting thing tracks. But no, we were not the first. Irwindale, and I know there was one in Orange County because my uncle opened his big mouth and told a lot of the guys there, we're a big prideful family, and they were like, "No, we have a track. It's already paved," which it wasn't. And you guys come play at our track. It's better.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, we'll be there Sunday. Like, shit.
Yeah, pretty much. Crazy thing. I mean, that's how, for us, that's how God works. Jack Yeager, which owned Yeager Construction, good friend of the family, and my uncles were movers and shakers, and they talked to Jack. He came down, paved it for free.
Get out of here.
And 2 weeks, literally things happened really quick for us. From the time it was dirt till the time we were open full time was within weeks,
Wow.
if not months. But
Get
I'm talking
out.
it was short time. He came, paved
So like
it.
you said, it almost was a good thing your uncle had that big mouth, right? 'Cause it
Spurred
made-
things
Well, I don't
Yeah.
know. That's a blessing and a curse.
Right,
I've been
yeah.
in this industry way too long. If it wasn't for my son, I tried to quit multiple times, and I keep coming back to this thing. So karting's been a blessing, right, for us, for a lot of families. We get a chance to see a lot of kids grown up. Families stayed together because of the racing game. But on the same token, I have a son that I'm pouring a lot of money into this racing thing, and
Right.
shooting hoops or playing football would be a hell of a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, and I guess you're almost predisposed to liking it in the first place, right? Because you grew up around it, whether you liked it or not. It's kind of, were you in those early days of building the track and stuff like that? Roughly, how old were you at the time, and when did you start getting involved and getting your hands dirty a little bit with stuff?
No, I was born into it. We lived, so there's 3 families that actually live pretty much on the property of 13 acres. And
Okay.
so my father and my mom, we owned a property right behind my grandmother's and them. So, again, I was born in the karting deal. But as early as 8, 9 years old, 8, 9 years old, we get up in the morning. It was built once the track was in business. It was there so that my grandmother and grandfather wouldn't have to work.
Ah, okay.
And so they never had to work again after we built the track.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna hit pause. You said too about a Christmas present.
Yep.
So what's that real quick before we start getting into the you as a munchkin? What's the Christmas present part? And like, who all's involved in those and like actually working it instead of doing another 9 to 5 or what have you?
Everybody works it.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Christmas present was just that, right? You buy a Christmas present, you buy a bicycle for your niece, your nephew, your son, and you're like, okay, now where do we go? So they built a damn go-kart track. I mean, it was simply as that. And they started playing on the go-kart track. Kind of going back, there's only a few people in our whole family. So there's 13 brothers and sisters, my uncles. And out of that, there's probably 6 people that have ever raced go-karts.
Oh, okay.
Ever. When you own Magic Mountain, you don't enjoy the rides. So
That's fair,
people say, oh, you get a chance to practice all the time, truly gets a chance to race. I'm like, no, you're a crackhead. At the end of the day, every time we start a go-kart up, it costs us money.
Yeah.
And it was built so that my grandmother and grandfather would not have to work.
Gotcha.
As a youngster, I got up in the morning and people always like, what's some of your fondest memories? It's literally getting up in the morning, coming down and registering people into work or working in a concession stand, learning the business side of the game. It was not, I'm going to go start and go drive my go-kart. That wasn't happening.
Oh, okay.
And you got to think about it. At the end of the day, it's a black family in a non-conventional sport.
Sure.
So, and we didn't have a lot of money. So, yeah, my aunts and uncles all worked in the men of the family worked in engineering. Roar, Northrop, helped build some of the space shuttle stuff. My dad actually designed and developed the BART system for San Francisco with some women in jail. So, crazy history on the engineering side. My uncles were extremely smart. And then the women they were on the public service side. So, my Aunt Sharon was one of the top level people in the city of LA for social services. So the women had their own deal, the men had their own deal. And then on the weekends, we came in as families, Saturday, Sunday, every Saturday and Sunday. If there was a race, Tri-C, SoCal, we were there, whether it was concession stand, emptying the trash, picking up cigarette butts.
So just like it is for families now to come out and have fun, it was the same thing for your family. They got a break from the 9 to 5 and we're able to come to the track and enjoy it. In a sense, maybe.
Back then it was fun, right? We got a chance to hang out with my cousins. Mm-hmm. We got a chance to work with the
At first it was fun, right? It started out that way.
When I look back at the end of the day, really it's always been fun.
Yeah.
That portion of it was fun. Back in the old days, for me, it was fun. Mm-hmm. Even working, I think the patrons that came in then are different than the patrons now. I think there was a harder working class of people that came in. They understand the true value of working hard and being successful.
A little more blue collar back then.
A little more blue collar.
Right.
And we didn't, as youngsters, there was no question on if we were going to go drive. We knew we weren't. We were coming for a common goal, and that was to work so that my grandmother and grandfather wouldn't have to work. And that was it. Then we'd go back, and most of our nieces and nephews or my cousins played conventional sports, college, high athletes, on a whole nother level. So we came for the go-kart track for that. John Bush, Ralph Bush raced, and I got a chance later. But other than that, we knew what our role was in our organization. We know what the goal was, and we did just that.
You're a munchkin, you're doing, and you knew that, all that kind of stuff. Was there anything, because I know that it was mostly adults. It wasn't a lot of the kid stuff going on. So at 8 years old, if you were going to go, you were going to go run the adult-sized car, right?
Yep.
Did you get? I mean, at what point do you start going? Come on, I want to go racing. I want to do this kind of thing. How old do you get when that starts clicking over? Obviously, you have the duty and the respect of trying to help out the grandparents.
You know what? I think I got a chance to get in a car. We had some blocks taped to my feet. I got a chance to run a couple karts. For my dad let me do some of that. As I got to about 12, 13 years old. I want to say that we were able to get some of, the Yamaha can classes and some of that stuff, as I got older, but it was still to work. So there was no matter how much I wanted to race, that wasn't the goal. So it didn't make a difference whether I wanted to or not. I was not going to bring up that question of, can I go race go-karts? No, it was work. You get paid a little bit of money, but this is what we do. Go flip a burger, go learn how to put the the Adams special sauce, so we called it Goop, and just work.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I keep thinking back, and a lot of people ask that same question. It wasn't about us racing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a chance to actually drive till I was probably 17, 18
Wow.
years old. White chassis. A couple other people came in and approached us to do it. I got a lot of great friends. Buddy Rice was here before you guys got here, and we talk about the old days, and the Kevin Harvicks and the Joey all those guys. I've got great relationships, but I never got a chance to race against them per se because I was working. And
So yeah, I mean, it's here. You're rolling. You're down here making things happen, but it's not for another decade that you don't actually start getting behind the wheel. So, and you say 17 or so.
Yep.
So you doing school and ball sports and
Yep.
stuff like that?
Yeah, played basketball at Cal State San Bernardino. Had the opportunity to play bigger, but I didn't want to work hard. All the things that I teach my kids now is from my failures that I had, way back. So, yeah, played high school basketball at a very high level, and then went to college and should have played at a much higher level, but didn't want to work hard.
Right.
I was going to say a small regret or whatever back then, or like, no, I worked out for the best kind of thing, or you still shoot
Everything
some
happens.
hoops?
Everything happens for a reason. I'm too dang old to shoot hoops, man. Every time I shoot hoop, my wife don't even let me no more. Shit. I go out there, I come back, I'm in the bed for 2 days. So I keep talking about it. Truly's getting older. He goes and plays every so often. I got a lot of guys that want me to come out and play. So I'll go shoot, but no, I run.
No pick and rolls.
I stay in. No, I go and train just hard enough so that when some of my top level drivers come back and get into a race car or go kart, that I can hang with them and show that I still have a little
Come
bit.
on, coach. Let me see.
Yeah, but nah, basketball and any of that stick and ball sports, they can have it. I'm too old. 52, Mike.
Oh man.
They can have it.
What were you studying at the time when you were in college?
Business administration and marketing.
Okay.
So you took everything going on here, and you applied that straight away.
Wasn't even supposed to do. I was not supposed to be working here. Nah, everybody in us, every man again is engineering. So
gotcha.
I went to Cal State San Bernardino, got my business administration and that degree, but really was going to go to work for Royal Aerospace on their marketing department. I already had job lined out. Everything was there. Went did an internship for 3 months and was falling asleep at the desk.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool thing was my boss was a gentleman who followed my high school career, and I was again pretty decent there, so I could fall asleep and he'd let me sleep. And about 2.5 months in, he's like, T, I don't think that this is the career for you. And I'm like, you're right.
Yeah.
And to be honest, after that internship, I was sitting here at the track. Every time I try to get away from this place, it just sucks me back in. And I say that, negatively, but it's been a good life. I was sitting here, and a guy comes in and asking a lot of questions about racing and school. And I went down there and helped him a little bit, and he got faster. I'm like, oh, maybe this is, give me a pretty decent little tip. And I got on the phone with Keith Freeber with owns Margay.
Yeah.
Called Keith up, called a guy named Colin Iwasa, which used to handle all of Yamaha. Actually, Calvin just came in 2 weeks ago or last week, and made a deal with them called Art from ROV, made a deal with him. And bottom line, I got 10 go-karts sent for no money.
Wow.
And told him what the vision was, but I didn't have a clue, right? I never raced.
When was this roughly?
1992.
Oh, is this
6 years after so as soon as I got out of college, it took me 6 years. I was on a long year plan.
Let's before you start jumping on that deal, let's if you don't mind.
Yep.
So I'm going to circle back to 1992 and this thing. You started racing in 17 at 17 years old.
Off and on.
Off and on. Okay. During your college, because Sam, that's not that far away. Were you staying at home during college?
No, so I spent 2-3 years in the dorms.
Okay.
And then I went back and stayed at my Aunt Thelma's.
You
I was
still
raised
coming
really
back
by my Aunt Thelma's.
and working here in the weekends? Yeah,
Yeah,
for
when
sure.
I'm not traveling with basketball or traveling whatever was doing there, then yeah.
And you still doing a little bit of racing on and off, or is this just work?
Just work.
So
when I was playing basketball, it was just basketball. It was my
Gotcha.
coach, again, we didn't play.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it was, I made dib and dab, but nah.
So you didn't actually do any in earnest racing at all?
No, not at all.
So just a little bit here and there. You literally.
When I say work, we work.
That was it. And
Yeah.
so then we fast forward to 1992. You have
Yep.
not done a hell of a lot of driving or anything like that.
No.
It's racing or anything like that. You're known as a badass on the court.
Correct.
And obviously being part of this place.
Yep.
But not as a driver.
I had not a clue.
All right.
When I say, when I got the go-karts, again, I could talk my way into pretty much anything. So when I got the go-karts, I didn't have a clue. I knew, Danny Dotson, a good friend of mine, a good friend of the family, Harry Whelms, good friend of the family. These are old school names. And so I got the go-karts. I didn't know how to mix the fuel. I knew how to put the starter in.
What'd you do for
Right.
those 6 years?
So I graduated in 1986.
Okay.
6 years playing in college.
Okay.
Graduated, went to 3-month stint in Roar.
Right.
Said,
Okay.
that ain't working.
I got you.
And then came here and opened up pretty much my racing school.
Okay.
With an aunt of mine. It was called the Speedzone. The Speedzone, she and I opened up, and it was a small kart shop and the racing school. It's primarily just a racing school.
And that wasn't going on yet? Like this was just a track? Like just for the weekends or?
So it was, no. So it was a track. We did, we had the concession stand, which is now back open. And then we did support racing. Well, so we had, back then, we had all the major races. So our family held majority of the national races. We had 2 clubs that were here. Because of the strength of our organization, we were called for consulting on a lot of different tracks all over the country.
Gotcha.
So that kept me busy on that side of it. And I was pretty much the one that went out to those organizations and then would bring in the staffing from our facility and or the clubs. So I handled a lot of the outsource. Back then, IKF was big, so I went to all of the board meetings.
So you may not have been a driver, but when it came down to it, you did know what the hell was going on.
All
with
the
karting
business
and
side
stuff.
of it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, all the business side. I mean, everything from there, developing the kid kart class. Everybody laughed at us. There's no way in heck that's going to happen. We started kid karts. We started really at 4 years old. So we were the only organizations got the rules, the insurance done for the kid karts.
Yeah, that's what I
from
heard.
Dennis Liggett.
You guys literally started that from nothing. There was no kid kart, and you guys started kid karts.
Yeah, we fought. I fought. I could still see the board at IKF. I fought for about 6 months. And so I called Dennis Liggett, which is the guy, our lead guy for K&K Insurance Company. And I called him out. I said, hey, Dennis, I want to start this class. It's already being done in midgets. And I'm like, I know for a fact I can do
work
it.
here, yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
he's
'cause,
like,
how you quarter midgets?
quarter
like
midgets, you can go at 4.
Munchkin, yeah.
You can do it at 4.
Yeah.
And so I said, hey, I'm going to fly you out and just see my program. If it doesn't work, don't do it.
But how'd you start? Like the kid kart didn't exist. Were you just chop cut rebuild on some cadets or?
So the PUFO has always been something in Europe.
Okay.
And I had seen a picture. I had another guy named Jimmy White. And at that time, he had came out and started talking about, everything happens kind of quickly. It's crazy how things happen. Put it on a go board or put it out in the universe and things happen for us. So
We got a go-kart track going in about 2 weeks. So
it's crazy. This story, the same deal.
Yeah.
And this guy was, Jimmy White was like, hey, I believe in that vision. Let's do it. So he actually built, he was an engineer who went go-karting and was building white chassis out of Indianapolis.
I heard about that.
And
yeah.
said, I'll build 2 of them. And I'm like, all right, let's get it. So he built 2, and I flew. Dennis came out, looked at our program, and said, I'll insure it.
Wow.
So he insured it.
When was that? What year is that?
I want to say probably 93, 94.
Oh wow! So you didn't even have the school thing. It was like you had this.
It just boom.
Wow.
It hit quickly. It may have been 90. No, it was pretty quick, right? So we ended up doing that, and then I went to the board, and they told me not just no, but hell no, it ain't gonna happen. Blah blah blah. I'm like, all right, well, no big
what
deal.
was the thought? Why was that?
Just maturity, age. They're too fast. I laugh at Art. Love Art. I mean, we run his VLR carts now, right? But I would go head to head with all of my, kind of mentors that are now the Haddocks, Mike Cressy's, names that most of these people will never know, but they were like, no, Pearsons, Faye, all of them. No. I'm like, all right, well, I just got approved. So we were the only track for a year that could run kid karts. I was stupid.
You were the only ones that had karts.
Well, no. So what happened was it quickly manifested, right? So MS Kart, I had a good friend, Ivan. He started bringing them in. They were in Europe, but as a PUFO. And we knew the Comer was here, but no one wanted to touch it. So all we did was see what was there, redesign the kart a little bit because it was made kind of cheap, and made it for kind of a U.S. deal. But no one would have wanted to touch it. And so once they seen all the kids starting to come out, and all of a sudden there's like, oh, maybe there's some money here.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some money here. It was a money grab, right?
Business.
As soon as that happened, I was just stupid. I was young. And it's kind of crazy because our family's done that multiple things. Shifter carts, with the negatives. All that stuff was developed right here, but it wasn't about growing the business and the money. It was always about the people in the community and families and coming together. So it wasn't until probably a few years ago in the 2000s that we really focused on driving revenue here.
Right.
But no,
it was growing the sport, not growing the business in a way.
The kid karts was probably one thing. Shit, I wouldn't even be able to work.
Yeah.
How did you guys come up with what was the catalyst to start? I mean, you have the school, right? But what's the catalyst to bring that age down to 4? Because obviously you've got munchkins or whatever, you're doing the school thing. What was before the kid kart? What was the youngest you had the kids going through on the school? Like the 8 to 12?
No, really was like more 14, 16. We
can't drive a car, but you can come over here and go kart.
Yep, you're a little taller, the whole 9 yards. The difference was Jim Hall had his own racing school. And I'm one that I don't believe in stealing people's customers like some of the shops do today. You guys talk to me about being politically correct. I'm not. Like at the end of the day, get your own customer, figure out how to advertise, figure out your own lane and run in your own lane. And so we sat down, and my family's big on that, right? Supporting the industry and how do we grow it. Jim Hall did a phenomenal job of getting people into the industry and feeding the industry. And so our biggest thing was which market and which segment was not being tapped. And that was the juniors and the kids, which we're strong at. I would say we're probably one of the best organizations on that today. But we focused a lot on that. And that was we could get the cadets that were just starting to come out with a smaller kart. But we knew how to make that work with pedals and understanding of the kids. I was a big kid myself, still young, but using a little bit of Jim's model, that's kind of what happened. And so we just fell into it, really. It's kind of the same thing that's been our deal. We just fall into different segments and then figure out how to master in that.
So you were working on the cadet and the junior thing, and then I'm sure there's probably some families or whatever come in here and they got a 5 or a 4 or 6-year-old, and you're like, what the hell? Why don't we try that? So that was kind of like, and so on the business side, again, finding a niche that's not being filled. And do that kind of thing. So this is the Speedzone school that you're doing.
Yeah.
You weren't a storied driver at this point, but you'd done driving. You knew how to do it. How do you do and even with the coaching I first did, it was, I don't know necessarily why I'm doing it, but I do know what I'm doing. So it was like, okay, gas does this, brake does that, steering and stuff like that. Especially when you're just starting out with new people, was that kind of the main part of the school? And then did you start getting in the seat more and more and developing yourself as a driver?
I think the main part was not to get these people killed so I can keep making some money.
I
mean, it
had on the track.
Yeah,
so it was less about the right foot, more about the left foot.
Yeah, and really still, right? For me, it's not about the right foot. We get in trouble with Truly, we get in trouble with Haley and all that, and all our drivers, bumping runs or driving it in and it's about braking. So old school, we threw the car in. They mastered the Billy Clevelands, the George Macks, the Kevins. I can name a list of guys. If you were able to get footage on the old racing, it was brutal. And you'd have 2 cars going in at the same time, both of them sideways. There were crashes. There were rubs. It was all about braking. It was about, and for me, with the school, it was about being safe. So I didn't teach them to go fast. We taught them how to be safe. With being safe, you learn how to slow the car down. Well, everybody knows how to go fast.
Yeah.
Sure.
But if you can slow the car down in the shortest amount of distance and then be able to, follow someone through the S's, through the straightaway and all that, you don't need a lot of money. You just need to have car balance. And so that's what we end up finding out kind of through happenstance. And even through today is we work on us, we do speed work, but then we do a ton of braking drills. If any of the videos, that you see on my social media, it's all about braking. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of started from there. It was teaching these kids to not crash. So I didn't have insurance, and they go out, they have a blast. We get them faster and faster, and mom and dad spend more money.
Yeah.
Like back then, that was a deal.
And you spend less trying to keep the equipment one piece.
Exactly. Right. And I tell people, then and it's today, they bring them here. It's our job to get them home safe.
Right.
So don't tell me how to make them faster. Let me do my job because I'm the coach, and then you do yours by shutting up and fund it. That's it.
And we've had that conversation a few times with the parents that we either done like 206 coaching with or the sport kart coaching with is, you want to talk to them about passing or they still need to figure out how to slow down for the corner, man.
Yeah.
Like one thing at a time.
We haven't checked the first box off, comfort.
Yeah.
They don't know how to drive the bloody thing or get around the joint, let alone go fast.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're doing the school. And again, the focus is on it's on the business. The business is the deal. At what point do you start? I mean, you've had the quote now opportunity to get out there. You're working for you. You're not working for grandma and grandpa and that kind of stuff. So, are we getting in the seat a little bit more? Are we driving a bit?
A little bit. But at the end of the day, every time you start the go-kart up, it costs you money.
Sure.
So as we got larger, and I was doing more schools, I had people to come in like you guys that will support you and help. A guy named Dave Kerr came in, big construction guy, and started working for the track for free, and so working for the school in order to train.
Gotcha.
Same time, back then it wasn't Little Jesus.
Yeah.
Or it was Little Jesus. Now Jesus with P1.
Yeah. That was a great story.
Was around, and his brother, Junior. I was living somewhere they were cutting my grass.
That's what he told us.
Yeah. So Junior was the one. His brother's phenomenally smart. I mean, it's just smart. And they started working, just kind of cutting the grass, doing maintenance. And then I talked to him about driving, right? And he was like, I don't know about all that. But he got interested in it. And so once that happened, I had two guys that would just kind of ride or die with me. And through not getting into Jesus, I don't know how much he told you. I didn't listen to that podcast, so I won't tell too much of his business. But, with him working with his education, because it was not first and foremost in his mind. Bottom line is I made him a deal, and he manned up and decided that he'd take on that challenge. And he did a phenomenal job, and now he has a successful business today.
No, and he did. He told us that you had said, and this is one of the things that I think is awesome. It's kind of the same thing with my dad is school is important. You got to make sure you get to school. I didn't. He pulled me. Good on him. Sucks for me, and I regret it. But what Jesus is saying is like, hey, you need to have those grades up. And then as the grades got better, his ability to go out there and drive more and race more was good. He did say though that he thought he was getting pretty good.
No, Jesus is a beast.
Right, he is. But he said this is when he was starting it. He was just starting to get pretty good.
Oh, that's right. He's starting to feel better about himself.
He's like, I think I got this. And you're like, all right, let's go out there. And he goes, and I didn't get this. Yeah. So you were a wheelman enough then to know what the hell's going on. Did you just do that organically, or how did you kind of pick it up after not having a lot of seat time?
You know what I think? I think athletes, if you're trained properly in the beginning, whether it's go-karts, football, basketball, I think athletes are athletes. I think the foundation that I had in basketball and the coaches I had in basketball and football and baseball and all that stuff transferred over. You have to be able to get over your fear and understand what's important in the game. So for us was braking. At that speed, 50, 60, 70 mile an hour, that didn't scare me. So I took to it pretty quick. And then John Bush at that time was running for KMP Manufacturing, and he was probably the best in the business. Very hard to beat back then. So hanging around him, listening to them, looking at the races, you got to remember back then I had guys like George Mack went to Indy. I'm looking at them. Richie Hearns, race here, look at him.
Yeah.
Alex Barron. We had 6 guys. I was able to go to Indianapolis 500, 6 guys this was their home track at Indy.
Man.
So it wasn't hard to look at it and then get in and adapt, right? So even today, I fall a lot on old foundation. And I think once the building, if you build the building correctly the first time, it won't crumble. And so for me to practice and do all those things that I saw those guys do, it was not hard to go fast, And then when I started, we had good equipment. I had a Margate karter. I had a KMP every so often. I'd get a go-kart from John and Faye and all those guys. So I had good equipment. And when we went to practice, I just didn't go out and pound laps. We went and did kind of drills. All the stuff that I saw made those guys good and great, I practiced that. It wasn't like, I'm just going to go pound some laps, see how fast I went. No, I'm like, okay, how deep can I drive it in? When do I pick up the throttle? Let's change it. The clutch is slipping at this. I had Tony Maglisi with the L&T clutches, or Marvin Justice with Horseman, and they were here all the time, and they were testing. So, I ain't dumb. I go down there and listen to what they were doing, how they slipped it. I didn't know how to do it. I'd call Danny Dotson. Hey, Danny, I'm at a Horseman clutch. How the hell I tune this thing? I'll do this. I'd make an adjustment. I'd go out. We test, but it was short testing because I didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have any money. I was running a school, but I remember I got that for free. I had to pay those back. Well, I didn't get it for free. It was a long-term loan that I ended up paying off. But everything I did was calculated. Everything, to me, this industry, and I tell people even come in probably lose a lot of money, this is like throwing your money in a trash can and burning it if you're not smart. So every time we start a go-kart up, even if it's for school, it's for a purpose. And so back then with Jesus, with Kids Lamont and all these guys that were coming from the streets and from the neighborhood that we hired, they understood that when we started that go-kart up, we either had to be making money or we had to be learning something so crucial that when we got a chance to go into the race, we were unbeatable. And so that's, when I look back, that's why we were as good as we are. That's why Jesus, even back then, was as good as he was. And he wasn't on no new stuff. Like, you don't take a kid from the hood and put him in a go-kart. You can win with jump, then you get something better.
You got to earn it.
Yeah, you get Fs, you get Ds. You get Ds, you get Cs. You get Cs, you're going to travel with me. And things were happening quickly back then for me. I had the opportunity to start doing some car stuff. And so it was just one of those things that he saw it, people seen it, and we truly worked hard at our craft. As hard as I worked on my basketball craft, I worked on my go-kart craft. And I looked at those drivers.
I mean, having, like you said, going back to your basketball stuff there, like you just pointed out, you at that point were you already going, man, I effed that up. I should have been, or is that down the road that you figured out this is just you tried hard because of the financial side of things and putting food on the table and all the other kinds of stuff, like that was part of the gig?
On basketball?
No, because you said you didn't put the hard work in. You didn't want to work hard at basketball, and that's how that didn't go. So now moving forwed, you're like,
no, I'm not that smart. I wish I was. I ain't that smart. I tell people now. I mean, I wear a shirt that says Troy knows just to piss people off. But
Troy guesses.
Yeah, I ain't that smart.
That doesn't have the same ring to it. But.
Nah, I have a lot of. I had a lot of smart people. And I tell people I'm not that smart. I got a lot of smart people around me that help me be successful. Right. So back then, when it was basketball, I worked hard enough to win the games, but I didn't work hard enough to reach the top pinnacle.
I see what you're saying.
For go-karts, it was the same thing. I worked hard enough to win, but our goal was not to create big-time drivers. We just wanted to beat everybody that came to the track. This is my house. You're not going to beat us at our own house.
Sure.
And then we wanted to go to Saga Speedway and beat people at their house. So what skill sets that we need to learn when it's 6 o'clock in the morning and you get there and it's an ice rink, the hell do you need to know?
Right.
So we worked on getting up at 6 o'clock or when the track's dirty or when it's wet.
Yeah.
And getting after it so that when we went to Saugus on those conditionings, we
you
were
knew
the best.
what to do. Yeah.
Right? So when Jesus would, going back to that, like when he would come to train, I'm like, no, you're not good enough. You can practice, but you're not good enough. You think you're good. perception is your reality, but it ain't the reality. So when we would get on the track, I let him, again, he's a man, young man. I need you to think that you're good. You need to think that you're the best in order to win races. You know, it's no different than my son, right? He goes to thing, he thinks he's the best. He ain't, but he thinks it, and he's going to do whatever it takes to win. And that's, you know, the mentality we had, and we took that to me from our basketball, football, you know, background. And so for him, I think that's why he's as good as he is now, is because he goes into everything wanting to be the best. Whether or not, you know, we are mentally, we think that that's our job, is to go and try to dominate. I don't care where it is.
So obviously the school thing is getting better and better. It's growing, right? You're developing phenomenal drivers, future champions and current champions at the time, etc. You said that things are going pretty quick for you, and you had an opportunity to get into the car stuff.
Yep.
Again, there's I guess the glaring question for me, without going through the quote karting ranks and getting the accolades in the karting ranks, how does going from a very good karting coach and owner of the school turn into a car opportunity?
It's timing, people, relationships. I think it's no different than today. I don't think you have to go through all these karting ranks that people tell you. I think you have to have, it's all luck, God, whatever you want to call it. For me, I was coaching. I was doing the same thing I normally do. Had a guy, Don Minium, on an insurance company, come up. I don't even know when it was, probably 98. It's like, dude, you're too good to be coaching. And I had started karting, doing some different things because I was in the industry and had the opportunity to go out and run for some people and win some decent sized races.
Okay.
And he's like, you're too good to be racing. You need to
do something else.
Yeah. And
move up. Yeah.
Do teaching. You should be racing. I'm like, psh,
right.
Kick rocks. Like, you know how expensive that is? And I have, you know, not to throw names, but we had a lot of guys come through here. So I'm already knew what happened to Richie Hearns and Alex and George, and there's Patrick Longs and
But you have that, and then you also have, you're like, well, I'm here to work. I'm not here to go race.
Right. I'm like,
that's
I
still
make
the
money.
mentality. Yeah.
Well, my thing is making money. It was, and not a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Like I thought I was making good money, but I should have went and stayed with getting a real job. But it wasn't. That was not what the reasoning was. I enjoyed seeing young people grow up in the sport, the family. That was the mentality. And so I told him, I'll always remember this because Jimmy White used to tell me, he's like, dude, go, white dude, white T-shirt, blue jeans, penny loafers, white truck with a gun rack. And this dude, he was like, Troy, he's like, son, if you want to be successful in this game, you got to figure out how to make money in the game. Don't do it for free. And I'm like, so he's like, hey, I will pay you $100 to win races. That was my karting deal. So I'm like, $100.
Speaking my language.
To win, all I got to do is win races.
Yeah.
And he's like, yep. And no one would run him. He went to Buddy Rice. Buddy was like, I'm not racing for that white dude. He's a hick from, I'm like, that's brutal. George Mack. I'm not racing for him. Like, if no one would, I'm like, $100, dude, I'll figure it out. He was brutal. He was
this
the crew
guy
chief.
like, was he, I was going to ask, was he known? Or
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
gotcha.
Not from around here, but he was a crew chief for Rich Vogler. Rich Vogler was one of the most winningest sprint car drivers. Mm-hmm. His kart was unconventional. He had a bolt in where the kingpin which would raise the ride height.
So you had some weight jackers on
the front end.
Yeah.
And I'd sit on a flat table for hours, like an hour, 2 hours at this dude's house in Irvine. What people didn't know is he was the son-in-law to the Crean family. The Crean family owned all of Fleetwood. The motor homes, the mobile homes, the house, like everything.
Wow.
Fleetwood. So I didn't know that either until I went with Jimmy and then met Emily and then went to the freaking mansion. I'm like, holy crap.
So how, at this point, this guy approaches you to go win some races. How big and successful, if you will, is the karting school at this point?
We're doing all right.
You're doing pretty good,
right? We're doing all right,
okay,
right? We're cranking it in. We're doing all right. We're going to Long Beach Grand Prix, advertising. Mm-hmm. We're doing good.
And that's how this guy meets you.
He came up. No, he came up. He came up. We're sitting in our booth at a Tri-Seer SoCal race, and he drives up and he said, I'm looking for some drivers to drive my race car. And And we were
So
like,
he's already done the work to
I
develop
ain't
his
interested.
kart.
Oh, yeah. We're
And-
like, ain't nobody interested. He went through the pits and talked to everybody. It was a big race. So he went and talked to everybody. He's from Indiana. We're winning everything out here. All the West Coast is winning everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if you weren't from the West Coast, you weren't winning as far as we were concerned. East was pretty strong. The Cressies had some people out there, but the driver
strong guys
pool
were out here.
was on the West.
Yeah.
And so he came out here, but no one would touch him. And I'm like, I don't even drive that good, right? I mean, I'm driving, I'm winning, but
But I do like Benjamins.
I like
Yeah.
money. And at the work, you got to remember, I'm working at the track.
Right.
We're not getting paid a lot. Everything's going to, and at that time, I think my grandmother and grandfather already passed away. So we're making okay, but I ain't making money like that. I figured $100, all I got to do is drive a race car and win. I'm in.
Yeah.
And crazy enough, that dude.
So was that the deal?
he
You just
trained
had to
me.
show up? Were you paying for
Oh.
anything at the point?
Show up and drive.
Wow.
Crazy. So
It's the whole reason why I started the school.
no,
Just kidding.
yeah, exactly. So, but check it out. So it was show up and drive. I'll always remember it. So he said, I want you to come test for me. And at that time, I want to say KMP had given my cousin John a go-kart for me to drive because I was all on Margay stuff. He gave us a go-kart, and I did pretty good in it. And he's like, hey, I heard, you won. Congratulations, blah, blah, blah. But come test my kart. And I'm like, I'm going to drive this guy's car, but $100 to win. I go, I test, I run some stupid numbers.
Where was the test at?
Here.
Okay.
Here. He came,
Gotcha.
brought his go-kart, non-painted. Back then, all the test stuff, non-painted.
Yeah.
Oh, but the
Weight
nice thing about
jackers.
that though is that because he's already he's driven here
Yeah,
already.
we
in
know what the
other-
number is.
So you exactly you
Yeah.
can just. It's not like I got to learn the track or the conditions. Like you know
Yep.
exactly
No
the hell's going on.
variables. Yeah.
And back then, this was,
This
if
is the
you
joint.
were, if you could win, they say, if you could win here, you could win anywhere. So we knew what the numbers were. And he put it on the track. It was a Yamaha KT100. And I went out and I went fast. And I'm like, oh, shit, this thing is pretty good, right? But he's like, that was garbage. And I'm like, no. I just went faster than they did on race weekend.
Yeah.
That wasn't garbage, dude. And he's like, no, you test like crap. You ain't no good. And I'm like, I'm not getting it in country.
just
But I'm thinking
confused.
country and brutal. Like
Right.
Jimmy is brutal. I got a lot of my stuff. And I just talked to him. He built he was a big engineering guy, aerospace.
Mm-hmm.
And he built a go-kart. So he was going to sell his go-kart shop and his go-kart shop and his engineering company in 2 years, his goal. From start to finish, 2 years, win enough races, sell both of his companies, and move to Grenada. He and his wife, Emily, who Emily was not short on money.
He's gonna sell his cart. His cart. I just want to make sure
His go-kart shop,
He was gonna
his
sell the cart. Karting was gonna turn into that kind of money.
Yep.
That's a hell of a plan.
2 years. 2 years. So
Troy, you need to do better in these damn
crazy.
tests.
Check this out. Well, no one touched it. So bottom line is I'm like, okay, teach me. Because I'm not a racer. I'm a business side of it. So he showed me we went to a shop. He would teach me stuff about weight jacking, and we'd come and test. And he's like, you got to be within a tenth. 2/10 first. 2/10 of a second. I'm like, okay, I kind of understand that.
Oh, so you hit a lap time before, but you were maybe here, a little less consistent.
Not consistent at all.
Got it.
But I could run the number and I could go out and win and do certain races,
Got
but
it.
not consistent. And he forced me to be within a 1/10 of a second. Mm-hmm. He's like, okay, if you can go 1/10 of a second, we'll do it. But we only win or crash. There is no coming in. There is no coming in second. You get paid to win. So, and I'm like, win or come in early.
Crash.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, 3 things. Win, crash, or come in early. So only those 3. You do not come across the finish line in second place.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is this?
We are not points racing.
It's crazy. And so we start this deal going, and we're winning. So my deal was I get paid. He gave me 2 go-karts. My deal was to get paid to win races. So Dave Kerr had one. I had one. I think Jesus was on a Margay or MS kart at that time. And so we'd go race at Saugus early in the morning, and then Tri-C or SoCal would be in the afternoon or evening race.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So we go up there and win, come back here and win. That's $200. We were going every place we could, winning races.
The phone book because they didn't have internet.
Yeah.
Where are any race I could find?
It was crazy.
Wow.
And so I was racing that white chassis everywhere we could.
So how did that first race go? Did you guys end
we won
winning?
right out the gate.
Nice.
I mean, literally, we won right out the gate.
Was that a surprise to your fellow competitors at the time?
Oh, yeah, especially this dude.
Especially not here, though, because you're going elsewhere, and like I would assume people are still going to expect you to do halfway damn decent at your home track, right? But you go elsewhere, you start winning elsewhere, and like, some bitch, Troy is killing it out here.
And it was cool. I mean, it was, we had some great battles. You're talking to Mike Johnson's, the Leading Edge group with Jim Berry, Mike Johnson, Ron Charteau. They were all pink and blued out. And I'm kind of an independent. It was just me, myself, and us. We had a raggedy van that Jesus and I would shove these go-karts in this van and go show up, right? Raggedy bunch. But we were able to win. For whatever reason, that was just our time. And we won a lot of races. But his thing was, don't come in early. I did it one time. I came in second one time across the finish line. That was it. That's all it took. California State Championship, got spun out, drove the thing all the way back to second, big field, drove it all the way back to second, came across the finish line. He took the go-kart, the big boy. I came across, got the thing over the scales. He took the car by himself, snatched the go-kart off, put it on the stand, told me to get my black beep all the way up to the motorhome.
Wow.
Cursed me up all the way up there, cursed me out in the trailer. Told me what the deal was, said, you ever do it again, you'll be done. I said, sir, you have no problem with me doing that. It's the most embarrassing thing I ever had in my life. And he had no problem with calling racial slurs or whatever.
Wow.
But at the end of the day, it was respectful. Like, I got it, right? I had a job to do. He had a goal on what he wanted.
So he wanted that thing to either say first place or something happened.
But why? So when you come in first, everybody sees it, right?
Yeah.
When you crash, everybody sees it.
Yeah,
that's fair.
But everybody sees it.
If you came in early,
what happens?
We had a mechanical. Oh.
But what happens? Everybody sees it. So his big thing was same as a big level. When the car gets crashed, it's a commercial. Everybody sees it. You got crashed out. They come, are you okay? All that. When you come in early, everybody comes in. What the heck? You're one of the top leaders and you came in early. What happened? Everybody sees a go-kart.
Wow.
When you win, everybody remembers it. They don't remember second, third.
Right.
So that mentality was big. It set the tone for me for years. Was
that the first moment you kind of had like that with him, or was there other ones like that throughout that season?
Oh, that was the first. Well, that was the first and last that I did that shit.
Gotcha.
I ain't coming in second, third, fourth, and not across the line.
Yeah.
Ain't happening.
And you get second in qualifying. That's all right. We mess up with the tire pressure.
Yeah. I mean, qualifying don't make a difference. It's all about the main. I tell Truly now, I'm like, I'm gonna give you. We got to work through it, but I don't care if you're last. It's all about the main event.
Right.
That's where it's all.
And I give him trophies out for qualifying and freaking.
Yeah, and it's a $30 trophy. Yeah. I just spent $200 on a stupid $30 trophy. Who cares about the trophy?
Right.
And that's, again, that guy helped me carry what I do today. It's not about, to me, it's not about the trophy. It's about either selling karts and or building the driver's mentality for future, whether it's business and or racing, right? So when you asked, had that ever happened? No, I went to Quincy in the Park. Never been there before. I can't even think. A couple of the drivers were like, Troy, you never been back here. This is crazy. It's 800 drivers. There's 100 people in my field. Stand and start. I'm starting 80th.
Wow.
And they're like, look, you're going to catch us. When you catch us, don't pass us. We're going to all get in a train. We're going to push, blah, blah. Like when you come to this drop off this wall, there's going to be a wall to the left. If you never raced Quincy in the Park or seen it, like back then, some real man stuff. We don't even race hard. Like we are the parents and to me, the drivers in the California pansies. People hear me say it. I don't care. At the end of the day, we're soft. You race back there, Quincy, Indiana, you race some of the New York all these street races. That's some real stupid racing. Like even Lancaster is decent. Quincy in the Park and all that is big boy racing.
Right.
So we're going 80 mile an hour plus
And this is all on the Yamaha still?
Yamaha still.
Okay.
All of it's still Yamaha.
Right.
We
Throughout
didn't
the
get to
90s
that
for the most part.
Yeah. And I had a teammate there, and you'd come around the right-hander. It's a sweeping right-hander, full throttle, wall on the left, and it's a tunnel. You come and you see a tunnel of people. You know why they're standing there? Because when you hit the wall, they're going to drag you off, but that's where the crashes are.
Right.
It's there, and then there's some set of trees on the other side that you can hit another wall and then bounce off into the forest, which is what my teammate did.
Oh, man.
So
there was a missing person sign for that guy afterwards.
I love that race. I only went once. Jesus wanted to go, and I'm like, hell no.
Yeah.
But, the bottom line was we ran there, and he told us, he's like, hey, if you crash, I'm leaving. So I was like, I knew that Jimmy was serious back then. I was one of probably 4 guys that he had run the country. Jimmy was he didn't play. So we ran. I ran really, really well there. I was sitting second or third, coming to the finish line, leaned that thing out and blew the motor up. Like, I blew that motor up. I knew not to come across that line.
Yeah.
The second, right? My
that
teammate,
was quick thinking.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. It wasn't hard to do it in the Yamaha, sitting right there, just screw that low speed needle down. And
you come across on the white flag lap, and halfway through lap, you're like, this is not going to work out for me.
Blow it up. I ain't going to make it.
Was there times that you
pull the old cold trickle? That's what he did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That you purposely crashed? You're like, all right, put it in the fence right now or something?
Nah, I'd blow the motor up.
Would you? Yeah.
I'd blow the motor
up. That's a lot nicer in your body,
crashing.
too.
I'm not
you
crashing.
get sponsored the chassis. You can't mess up that chassis.
Yeah, I'm not crashing. Jimmy was not, he's brutal, right? He was brutal. But at the same token, he laid some strong foundation. So for us, it was really about winning, crash, or coming early and selling product. It was all about the product.
So at this point, you said when you're at the street race, he has about 4 drivers around the country on this chassis, right?
Yep.
Was it, obviously you guys are all up front, I'm assuming. Is it starting to get some momentum? Is it
he had
brand
other shops.
At this point?
He had other shops starting to buy them because we're winning. We went out really, the California market was big. So he didn't get a lot of guys out here, but because the Pulse was out here throughout back there, he would, and then he'd start doing some dirt. He got me into the oval tracks out here that was starting to run. So we were winning.
Yeah.
And that, again, that kind of upped his brand.
So you were doing different disciplines as well, doing some dirt racing as
He
well?
just sent me. He would be like, we're going racing over here. We're going to go to Rialto. Back then it was Rialto Airport was doing a little oval track. He found out on one day, and he's like, we're going oval track racing. I'm like,
all right.
Yeah, like, whatever. Like, same deal goes, $100. All I got to do is show up with my helmet and suit.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah, you're either going to get 100 or you're going to pull in early. Yeah.
It don't make a difference. And so that's kind of was my deal. And he had some of those, but back then he was doing well. I think he was doing some dirt stuff. He was just unique, right? He's a unique dude. Mm-hmm. But at the same token, smart. Money was, he didn't care how much money we had to spend on motors.
Oh, wow.
He didn't care how much money we had to do on testing.
He had
was a big
two-year
testing
plan.
stuff. He had to get it done.
So how long did that program last for? Was it still
2
at
years.
2 years?
He sold that thing in 2 years and sold both companies. He was on mark.
Did he go to Grenada?
He went, yep.
Get out of
Yep.
here.
He ended up, I'm not going to tell his business, but he ended up going. Family move, great deal. I know he's not with the wife anymore, unfortunately, but he called me about 6 to 9 months ago. And I'm going to get him to come to one of my son's races. But
cool.
He got a little farm somewhere, I think in Indiana still. And I'm gonna go visit him
some other endeavor now.
No, I think he's just retired, man.
Oh, is he?
Like
Okay.
he was smart. He did exactly what he said he was gonna do. Mm-hmm. He had a plan. He was committed to the plan, and he made it work. He was successful with it.
I'm thinking, Troy, I got an idea. We're going to start a Smitty chassis. We got a 2-year plan here.
Unfortunately, I don't think either of you have the foundation to back this up.
I don't have any money.
Yeah.
Oh man! So you talked about we just started thinking or talking about how maybe you got into cars and this thing is this kind of what spurs you on into getting into the car opportunity? Is going and kicking ass in the white chassis?
It was all kind of going around the same time. Crazy enough is again school's doing well. I'm starting to race. Got Dave and Jesus and a few of the other kids racing a little bit. We never really had a race team at that time, but. The bottom line is I met a lot of people here at the track. I met a lot of people throughout our years here at the track, and this particular guy was like, "Hey, Troy, you're too good to be racing. I'm teaching, just go racing." I'm like, "I don't got no money." He said, "Okay, look, let's go. You raise the money to go to a racing school."
What year is this? Sorry.
I want to say it's 98.
98.
No, maybe 97, 98, somewhere in there. And
is it right around the same time as this the white deal as well?
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep. And if you go to the school and do well, I'll help you get some funding. I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't care about being a race car driver. So we go.
That's how you spend money, not how you make money, right?
Yes. And so we go to, I go to Jim Russell Racing School at Laguna Seca. And it was a 3-day class, and the first day I suck.
What were you in?
Little like Mazdas.
Oh, okay.
Yep, open wheel Mazda deal. And I mean, I suck. It was bad. And so I remember calling my sister, and she's in San Francisco, going to school at Berkeley, I think, or she's working for Deloitte and Touche already. But I call her pretty much crying. I think I called her on a dial-up because I don't think it was cell phones. And she's like, "You know what? You didn't desire to be a race car driver. Go out and just have fun. Go out and do what you do.
Well, that's
just
what I
have
was
fun."
thinking. Hey, there shouldn't have been a lot of pressure here. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, piss on it.
Yeah, but you got to remember my mentality is we win everything.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm there for a class. There's 30 people in the class, and I'm 28th.
Right.
That ain't cool.
Even though you've never been in the car, never been on track,
not my mentality.
You're all in.
Yeah, not my mentality. And again, I'm already winning go-kart stuff.
Right. So naturally, you should just kill it.
I win. I compete. I won't say you win, but we want to compete, and you want to compete at a high level.
Yeah, be in the conversation.
So the biggest thing was go out and have fun. So the second day, and we went out, and she says, "You know what?"
Sorry, going back to that, why'd you suck? Can you
Just
remember
everything.
why?
I just think a lot of it's mental, right?
Yeah.
I think people are not good in anything, especially racing, is when you have you're mentally challenged. And I was mentally challenged. I had too many things. I was trying too hard. I wanted to go too fast.
Overthinking
it, right? Not going back to the basic foundation of what we taught, which is, slowing the car down, looking at your markers, getting your eyes up, slowing everything down. I think the greats are ones that can slow everything down. They can see it before it happens. It's even though you're going 200 mile an hour or you're going down a basketball court, you can slow the game down. And at that time, I couldn't slow it down. Because I was trying too hard and trying to prove that I was better than what I was, maybe. But the second day,
I was going to say, how'd the rest of the weekend go?
Crazy, man. My sister said, "You know what? I'm close. I'm coming down." I was like, "Oh, that was kind of cool." And my sister, very A-type mentality, works now at a big A accounting firm.
Older or younger?
Making stupid money. I'm the youngest, so
You're the youngest?
I have 2 older ones. Yeah.
God.
And she comes down and she's just like, "Look, we're going to have fun. Just go out and have fun." And I'm like, all right, cool. So I can remember.
It can't get any worse.
Crazy thing, I remember. We were going through shifting techniques again the second day. So I'm like, all right, I got the shift pattern. That was good. Then we do braking drill. And the braking drill is something I've been doing. So learn how to heel toe, do some blips. And get the braking down, and then my braking got better and better. That's all I started working on is my braking. And so second part of the day, they let us go back out and drive.
Build a little confidence underneath you. Yeah.
And it was all about hitting the rev limiter. How quickly could you hit the rev limiter? And so second day, I'm hitting the rev limiter sooner, getting faster, driving in deeper. And then by the third day, and Don, he had been driving some stuff, so he's in the front, I'm in the back. And they put you out by how fast you are, right? Yeah. So then I'm in the back. Well, by the third day, like I'm coming, and I'm like passing people like it's crazy. And so I remember one of the instructors come up and like, "Hey, you just got to be a little careful driving it in, in turn 1 because it's a downhill grade left-hander."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "No, we're all good." And he's like, "No, you're not all good." And I'm like, "Sir, trust me, we're good right now." Like, I ain't even going as fast as what I can go. And he's like, He's like, "Well, just be careful."
Yeah.
And I could just remember that section. I would follow. I'd follow the guys all the way through the track, right? Going up, going through the corkscrew, make sure I was like at least a car, 2 cars back. But when we get into the break zones, I would just eat them up. And I knew I could look for 2 zones where they would break and gauge that. And that's kind of what we do now is that I could gauge. And then by the time I got to my section, it was over.
Right.
And so by the time we ended, I was like number 2. I was number 1 or number 2. And then Don was like, holy crap. And so he's like, hey, my
So
deal
I guess
was.
you did.
Yeah, he was like, I know a company. Well, King Taco, the Martinez family, were good friends of ours kind of already with the track. And he called Luis. He had done some insurance stuff for that time of Luis. And he calls him up. Tell you how fast, again, when I say things happen fast.
Right.
He calls him up, says, hey, want to do this deal with Troy, blah, blah. Luis, I was good in marketing, put together a package. And I had another guy who I had taught that was doing some stuff at Orange Show Speedway and little bull ring. And so he says, God, Rick, I can't think of Rick's name is right now, but he basically had told me if I ever wanted to go into racing, he'd help me work on a car. If I ever wanted to go into NASCAR racing, he'd help set up the car.
This is the cat from Orange Show.
No, yeah, this cat from Orange Show, San Bernardino. And so Don says, I have a race truck. We're starting Ultra Shield Speedtrucks. There's a truck that's available. It's their show truck. And we just want to put you in. There's got 20 cars. It's going to show up at Orange Show, but we'll get you a test. And if you do well, they'll let you drive it. Now, it's a 2-seater. This ain't even their race truck. So I'm like, I don't care. Like, whatever. I don't want to be no race car driver. So we call up. I call Rick. I said, hey, I got this deal. I have not a clue on what I'm doing, but will you come out? So he's like, yeah, I'll come out. So they take this truck over there. And
The other phone call I made was to his sister. You got to get over here.
Yeah.
You a good luck charm. I need you back over here.
It's, again, fast. I mean, it's probably happened within months, if that.
For a deal like that, yeah, that is very
It's
quick.
fast. So we get back. Rick and them come out, and I go and do this little test drive on the 2-seater, and I'm decent times, nothing crazy. And they said, okay, we'll give you the truck for 3 races, and Don's going to handle the money side of it. So he talks with Luis Martinez and Raul, and we put together the little truck deal. Speedtruck was the biggest one. There was Spec Truck and Speedtruck at that time. Big fields. So he's like, okay, Troy, bring the truck over. Rick says, bring the truck over. We're racing Saturday night. And he said, and they wouldn't give me the truck. They said, okay, we'll give it to you Friday. So, all right. He gives it to me Friday. He says, hey, you bring that thing over. And he works all night on this truck. And I'm with him. I'm falling asleep on the floor at his shop in San Bernardino. And we work all night, and that's the olden day stuff. We go to the track. He says, all right, I have a raggedy trailer, right? Don't have no money. We go out the first time, and it even has the old Speedtruck logo on it. Everybody knows it's a 2-seater.
Man, he's sponsored by the series over here.
This sounds like
No, because we're going to be garbage, right?
Right.
To
This
me,
sounds like a Cool Runnings, the old piece of shit bobsled that they got.
it
Just
looked
threw
nice,
together.
but it was for doing ride-alongs.
Right.
And I'm going to say,
That was part of the deal. He had to have a ride along during the race.
back
Real
then,
experience.
there were no blacks running, right? They didn't think I was going to be any good. I didn't think I was going to be any good.
Right.
So I think it was an opportunity for marketing. They could do some stuff here, and we had some relationships, and I had some connects with big people to get this product. Ultra Shield was also a chemical product that they were trying to sell, and Don had some stake in that as well. So it's going to be, again, to me, it was a money grab,
Yeah.
right?
And if you can do good, then that's
It was
a bonus. Yeah.
But I had some connects, get into King Taco. We started selling this cleaner to them. And
Oh, okay.
so it was a big deal. And but Rick was like, no, bring it over. So we bring it over, get to the racetrack that morning, or the first practice, probably midday. And he's like, you ready? I'm like, yeah. Turn left. All right. I went in it once. No big deal. So we go out, getting ready for practice. And he's like, all right, go out. I'm like, go out? Like, you gonna give me any instructions? He's like, nope, go out. I'm like, all right. I go out, I go to turn, car goes straight almost to the wall. Exactly how your eyes are. I'm like, holy shit. All right, get it through 1, go out, go into 3, same thing. Like, this is crazy. This thing don't turn. I do it 2 laps, 3 laps. I come off. Everybody else still practicing. I'm like, hey, this thing is tight. It's pushing. He's like, oh, okay. Go pick it back. I'm like, dude, take it back. Like, fix my car. I'm like, nope, go take it back. Take it back. Next practice. I go out, I spin out. Go to the next corner, spin out. Go to the next corner, hold on to it, almost spin out.
Right.
Bring it in. Now it's too loose. He's like, oh, good. You know what the car's doing now.
Oh.
You know it's tight, you know it's loose. Good, we're going to go win a race. I'm like, what? I made 6 laps. No
that
joke.
That was a hell of a test.
6 laps. 6 laps in his car, maybe 10 at the most.
Right.
You're like, I thought
So
you
I'm
said
like,
you're going to help me.
Exactly. Exactly.
And as the new guy on the track, right?
Oh, I'm looking like an idiot.
Yeah, you're in your helmet, like, this
I'm
can't
looking
get
like
any worse.
How am I
right?
going to get
Looking
my
like an
$100?
idiot.
Yeah.
I'm looking like an idiot. So, so then he's like, we're going to win a race. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So we go for qualifying, and we're qualifying last. We're slow.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm pulling up, he stops me and he does some stuff with my tires. Won't say what he did.
He
I'm
did
like-
the
and he's like-
blessing. He just
he did some stuff with the tires, and he said, when you go out on the track, do not spin the tires. And I'm like, huh,
All right.
whatever. I lay that thing down, and we qualify 4th,
nice.
right?
Wow.
Everybody's going crazy. My family, we're like shocked.
Yeah, Troy's like, we ain't making it to
Everyone
tech.
behind you on the timesheet is like, this is the dude that was
Yeah.
spinning out today. Like,
So
Yeah.
we do that. We win the trophy dash. We
Wow.
finish 2nd for the race.
that's awesome.
So I'm like, that was sick. And this ain't that hard to drive. Like, I'm kind of, getting my
Yeah,
chest out a little
yeah.
cocky,
Yeah.
right?
You got this habit of sandbagging like a mother at the beginning.
Nah,
Goes
man.
to driving school, sucks, kills it.
Yeah.
This
Goes
thing
up
happens
first
for a
practice,
reason,
sucks.
though, right?
Good
I mean, that's
golly.
my thing. It ain't me. I tell people it's having a good program, having good people around you. Rick McRae and his sons are both. Well, one definitely is high level in NASCAR now, right? But the 2 boys were beasts. Tony McRae ran late models. She runs their trucking organization now. But Rick McRae was my guy. So Rick says,
He made you a believer, though, that right
"Oh,
there.
right out
Yeah.
the gate."
Next
right
time
out
you
the
go
gate.
down in the corner, don't turn. He's like, oh, we're going
Right
to
out
be good
the gate.
today.
So then we go second race. King tacoed up now, got the suit, everything. I think we qualified 2nd or on point, won the trophy dash.
Nice.
Finished 3rd. We never won over there.
But people
But
gotta
we
be
won
going-
every trophy. We won all the trophy dashes, and we finished
You were in
top
the hunt.
3.
Yeah, and people
Oh,
got to be
top
thinking,
3.
who in the F is this guy?
Yeah,
Right.
and hitters. Back then,
Come
the speed
on.
truck and the spec truck, we were hitters. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, this is what you did before you went to late model, then the Southwest Tour.
That was the show at the time.
Yeah, that was it. 30 car, Augie Vidovich, all those guys ran, right?
Wow.
So we did that, won a second one, won a third one within like 3 months. And then it was, Orange Show's pretty racial. So Orange Show and San Diego. So we were they weren't too happy, right? Weren't too happy. A lot of cats were not happy at all. And so,
Because you got yourself a black driver,
Yeah.
right? And then you have, were the Martinez's there too?
no,
Okay,
so my
gotcha.
thing was to get them, we help, I don't want to say help, but open up their eyes to motorsports a little bit more. They were doing, I think, a little bit at that time with Long Beach Grand Prix,
Okay. Yeah.
but open up to NASCAR, getting some of the concessions, and then from there they went to do California Speedway.
Gotcha.
And ran the concessions for California Speedway. So I was a big B2B relationship guy, again, trying to figure out how to make this racing thing go. So Rick told me they were going to crash me. Said, hey, they're going to crash you. You came over here and we've done what we're supposed to do. We need to get out and do something else. That same weekend, California Speedway was racing and he was doing the car for Kyle Petty. And so he's like, just come over. I'll introduce you to Kyle, hang out, and let's start. Like, you have something. We need to go this direction. And his son, Little Rick, and I can't think of his brother's name, was like, nah, Dad, you go over there. We're going to finish this up. We're smoking them. We're going to win the race. We have not won one. We've been there close. We're going to win. And I was like, not smart boys. I'm cocky. Like, nope, we'll come over on Sunday but we're going to smoke these guys. And he was like, ain't going to happen. So the boys do all the work, and we go out. We win. We go out for qualifying. No, we win the trophy dash. And then they say that we're supposed to start fourth. Anytime you win the trophy dash, you're supposed to start fourth. But we get to the line, and we end up being the last person in line. And they say we got there late. Like, no, we weren't late. We just couldn't cut the line.
Yeah.
So when we go out onto the track, instead of us, usually they let you go up to the front. They're like, no, you're starting in the back.
Oh, man.
So like, oh, shit, it's getting ready to happen. So no big deal. I'm cocky, and we're fast. So we're running through the field.
And it's not like Orange Show is like wide open all over the place.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
it's a bull ring.
Tight.
You got to tight. You got to bump. You got to move people if you need to. The braking, I mean, your car's got to turn.
You got to drive the
You got to drive it. You got to be up on the wheel. So we're rolling. Like, we pop off probably 28th, 26th. Like, it was big fields. It's crazy how large they let these trucks go
I would
on.
say before you know it, the leader's already catching someone.
You got to be
It's a
on the
small
wheel.
track.
That's
Really
one
right.
thing about NASCAR. Like, people say, oh, let's just turn left. If you're not passing, you're getting passed, right?
Yeah.
So we start off, and boom, we're rolling. And I want to say halfway through the deal, we are fifth. We catch now we have King Tackle on it. We catch a guy, I can't think what his name is, and when I see him, still to this day, I'm like, ready to choke him out. And we're cool now. We've talked about it, but I'm still heated.
Yeah.
And he was in a Taco Bell truck,
Oh, that's funny.
right? So King
Taco
Taco
on
and Taco
Taco
Bell.
crime.
Yeah, crazy. And so
on Taco crime.
we go into turn one, and I kind of push him up, and now he's second, I'm third, and we're coming on the leaders. A few laps left, and we go. I catch him in the one, he blocks it. Catch him again in the one, he blocks it. Catch him in the three, he blocks. I'm like, all right. So I'll
Doing the old chop.
Yep. So I'm
on
like,
you.
all right, no big deal. Just gonna bump and run you, move you just a little bit, and go. Well, after you've done it enough, people know how to
handle it.
handle that, right?
Yeah.
So I went to like I was going to do it, and he parked it, and I just went to cross him over. I stayed far right, and then go to cut the car underneath him just to get the low line. And once I got halfway there, he pushed up. Once he seen the move that I made, he just turned his car and center punched me. When he center punched me, he stayed on the gas, and he drove the car T-boned style from turn two, so out of two, into turn three, all the way, just pushing me sideways. Then drove the car halfway up my truck. So, needless to say, I had some good old boys with me, and they're now starting to jump. I mean, the race is over. We got this still on film. It's just crazy. I still have it. I need to pull it out one of these days and post it, but it's not politically correct.
How about you don't care about that?
Pretty much. I just got to find it. And he drove. They starting to jump the fence, and it became it was a full deal brawl.
Yeah. Benches clears sort of
But
status.
I mean, again, we were young. I was cocky. They were cocky, and we were doing something that was just unheard of back then. And once that happened, I just got, again, floodgates. People heard about it. I got calls from North Carolina, kind of opened up the deal. Jesus was one of the first Hispanic Mexicans in North Carolina to get opportunity to drive.
Right. Yeah.
You told about you
at
guys
Concord.
checking that out, yeah.
Yeah, so he got his grades. I told him I'd take him wherever I travel. So he got a chance to go to Concord in a full-blown late model race car. Two little boys from Riverside, right? At that time, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, so I went and bought a T-Bird, a Thunderbird Ford, to drive it around to feel what it would feel like to be low and to drive a race car. And so I played around in the streets, played around here, went there, understood how to test and train. Buddy Rice's dad Big Bud was good influence on us and taught me a lot about how to test for and train for something like that. And we went out and mopped him. Jesus did pretty good. I mean, out of probably the 16, I think. I mean, he didn't make the cut do it, but I want to say he was like top 6,
This
top
is
7.
that shootout thing or something, right?
It was
like a test or
It was a
something?
test. It was for, back then it was Hooters Cup.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They were trying to develop a minority. They wanted minority.
Like driver development kind
But
of.
no. So crazy thing is, the team was black owned. They had a black driver, but he would mess with white women, which is a no in Charlotte. So they wanted to get rid of him. Then you had Pistone, which was like the Pistone family back then, and still are huge in North Carolina. You had all the hitters, and it was AC Delco, or it was a big sponsored program that Leonard Miller was the owner of this black team. And so they wanted a black driver, but there really wasn't. And they wanted a minority driver, but at the end of the day, it wasn't that many.
Yeah.
And so we got the call. They told me I could bring Jesus, Hispanic, but it was just us against all white dudes. And so it's kind of cool because, in a sense, we sucked in the beginning, and I knew that we weren't supposed to go out and go fast, but I need to ask a lot of questions. So that's all we did. We just asked a ton of questions, learned how to drive it. It was all about the rev limiter. I knew it would be tight. I knew what to tell them to do to free my car up. That's the key to testing, understanding that it's going to be always tight.
Yeah,
and
they
then,
want to make sure the car doesn't spin out.
Correct.
Right.
If it's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
do anything, you make it tight so they lift.
Right. So,
Or they don't drive it in.
but then how to drive a car that's tight, and then tell them that it's tight, right? Give them feedback so they free it up for you.
Yeah.
So I ended up winning that over the whole 2 days. I ended up winning a deal.
Wow.
They flew me back. I came back here, flew back, and then went up against the driver and 3 other guys that were the hitters in Charlotte at that time, and then beat them.
And this is all in the super late models?
It was in a
Hooter-
late model at that time.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
For the Hooter Cup ride.
But it was going to be for the Hooter Cup ride.
What year is this roughly?
Shoot. 98,
98, 99, right in there, late
98.
90s.
I want to say, late 90s.
How old
So-
are you at that point?
Hell, I don't know. I'm old right now.
Yeah.
He's 6, so 6 and 92. Call it 20. I'm probably mid-20s, late 20s.
Late 20s?
If not, mid-late 20s. And then we ended up getting that. So won everything. Always remember it. Little old white lady owned Concord Motor Speedway. After winning it, she's sitting there. A couple old guys come up, and she's like, "Son, no, boy." And I'm like, "Boy, okay." She's like, "I'm so glad that you won this deal." It's like, because now I can get a lot of your people to come out to my racetrack. I'm going to bust them in. We're going to make so much money. And I was like, F me. Like, my dad was like, "Shut up." Because I was not.
Well,
I'm from Southern California. You don't call me too many boys.
You haven't even talked about that at all, really? And you kind of a little bit here, a little bit there, but obviously the racial stuff is something you had to deal with throughout your life, right? With some of these different things,
But
like
not
Orange
here.
Show and whatnot. Yeah, exactly. Like little pieces here and there.
Yeah.
Was it something that you carried with you? Is it like you like? Did it have any influence at all on your program? Like you said, not here as much, but when you go back east, when you go and travel around to these different areas, you know, like the Orange Show thing or anything like that, is that ever like you carrying that with you at all, or you just go, "Nah, I'm just here to do my deal."
You know what?
and
I'm
that's
here
it?
for a job.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, and I tell truly the same thing. I know I'm black. I'm going to be proud of it, but I'm a man. And at the end of the day, if you put me up against any other man, my job is to beat you. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, I don't give a damn. My job is to win races,
Sure.
right? So, you know, even then, you know, it's one of those deals. It's you surround yourself around good people, and when I'm at the racetrack, that's what I try to do. Even my program now, our families are good people, and outside of my family, which is the people that I'm racing with, I don't like you. I don't want to be around you, and I'm not there to be your friend. So whether it's back then when I was racing cars, whether it's karting now, I think a lot of people, or why I rub people the wrong way, is because I'm not there to be your friend. Like, I'm there for a job. I'm there to take care of my kids. I'm there to go test. You tell me the rules. I'm going to play within your rules. But if you switch the rules up in the middle of the game, I'm going to let you know. But then I'm like, but it's, if I come to your guys' track, I think, I used to see Derek, and I won't say we probably had the best relationship, because I think in the beginning, for me, I look at it, if you say it's X, I expect it to be X for everybody. And if you don't, I'm good.
Consistency.
But now I'm like, I got you. And F you. Like, now we're different.
Right.
And that's okay. But if I get a chance to do you, I'm going to do you as hard as I can. That's me, right? I'm like, it's cut or dry. You're either with me or against me, or you're with my family or you're against our family. And if it's not the same, to me, you're against my family. So back then, it was the same, right? It's whoever I travel with, that was my security blanket. That's who I was comfortable with. And anybody, any driver, anyone that was not helping us, then my job was to, cut them out of the picture through any means necessary.
So you said you were there at Concord. You said it was your dad that was there?
My dad, my Uncle Jerry, my dad Tim. The first time was Jesus, and then after that, I didn't take anybody.
So when the owner of Concord, when that lady said,
she stepped in.
Was that like your first in your face experience?
Oh, that was my first. That was my first.
Got it. And that's where Dad, who's probably, he got some experience.
Right.
He's like, easy boy. So
pretty much.
We don't have, this is not as big as you think it is yet.
No, it was, He stepped in, which was good, right? And then I had to realize what my place was. At the end of the day, we all have our place. I tell people now, whether it's NASCAR or whatever, still know your place. White, black, Hispanic, Asian, don't make a difference. I travel to Mexico right now with Truly going racing. Know your place.
Doing the SCUSA stuff down there?
Nah, I'm doing the Mexico National Series. It's bigger.
Gotcha.
189 drivers. It was 30 people in our field the last race.
Wow.
Finished second. But it's know your place. Be respectful. Be respectful to their community, their culture. Whether they have money or don't have money, it's about being respectful. And if you're have that mentality, you'll be successful. And even if we're not successful, there's a reason why. We're going to learn from that experience, so that when we go back, we're there to do a job. And that's the mentality I think that we take. And sometimes it may rub people the wrong way, but I don't care. Right? I mean, I go back. It really is about my family, and my family is not just my immediate family, but it's whoever I'm racing with at that particular time. Right? When we went to Arizona, it's probably the most you and I have ever talked.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, aside from just stuff in the paddock or whatever.
Racing-wise, that's the most we've ever talked. But that small little corner that we were back there, Sean Burr was teasing us like, oh, you're in the back of the bus, a little racial slur. That's my boy. But that was our community. And so whatever you needed, you were part of my family. People came and they ate and we barbecued and we do our thing. But outside of those 3 pit stalls, I care less about them dudes. My job, I don't care about them. I don't like them. Like, it's simple. Like, I'm very cut and dry when I'm at the racetrack.
I've always found that you were always no nonsense, but very respectful all the time, and maybe even to a fault. Like, it was, you would, like, no matter what, you're definitely going to be respectful and nice, etc. And I think maybe from what I saw was like, no matter what, even if I don't agree with you or I'm not your biggest fan, I'm not going to show that I'm not your biggest fan.
Yeah.
Like, you and I had never a headbutting or like that, but we definitely had a frank conversation about things.
Yeah.
But it was always like, I would have that conversation with you so many more times than a lot of other people at the track that I'm like, good, will you just relax?
Yeah.
We don't need to do this right now. And we could be completely on different pages, but we could still have that kind of conversation.
Yeah.
But I always knew that you weren't pulling punches either. You can be respectful without, pulling it back.
And I try to. I'm a little tense. I'm a little tense at times.
It's definitely all business free at the track, though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun. The thing is, it's business, but it's also fun with my family. So that's the difference. Like, when you're at the track, you have your job.
Right.
Right? You and my relationship is business.
Right.
When my drivers hit the track, when they come in to speak, that's business. But as soon as we're done with that, then it's about fun for my family in our tent.
Yeah.
Outside of that, right? Everything else is business for me. So if I go to talk to someone else that's 10 or camp, with the exception maybe of Jesus, which my motor builder, still kind of family, but even he and I have not so nice conversations because we're only there for one reason.
Yeah.
And that's to better our kids, period.
Yeah,
Right? And it's not about winning for me.
Well, I was just saying, I think that's the big thing too, is especially in this industry where there's at a certain point so much intermingling, whether you're trying to go get a part or you're just someone's trying to go say hi.
Yeah.
It's knowing this is Troy as a coach, or as a team owner, and then there's Troy as my friend.
Yeah.
And that's the same for everyone across the board, knowing when to separate. Like, this is Derek, the manager, coming to tell me to stop being an idiot.
Yeah.
And there's Derek saying, hey, you're being an idiot, but he's doing it in a friendly way.
Yeah. And that's your job. Like,
Right.
at the end of the day, I show up at your guys' spot, Cal Speedway. It's that's your job. And no matter what you say, right, I'm at your house. You say go, I can't use that bathroom and I got to go to that one. But I see other people using that one. Well, I can't use it. It's simple. I mean, I like it. You may be on my list, but I'm going to go use that one.
Right.
Right? Now, you come to my house or you need something, I'm probably still going to give it to you because I need that favor. I need that relationship. I just don't like you.
Right.
I knew there was a reason why I let us.
Doesn't. It's just, that's how I am. I don't blow up bridges. I don't. This is a small community, right? Just because I don't like individuals or I don't, and a lot of times it's not that I don't like them. I don't know them, right? You don't spend time to know them and build a relationship. So you only see them on the face,
right?
And that's what I tell people. You don't know me, but that's okay. You don't got to know me. I don't want you to know me, right? And that's probably, again, why my group, my family is small. We're growing crazy right now.
It's definitely gone up quite a bit over the last few years, I've seen.
But it's because I'm open to letting more people in. Like, I didn't want a race team. I do not still really call it a race team. Johnny, Stamps, and all those guys pushed me to open it up more and like, nope, you have a race team. I said, well, until we start winning, I won't get tents. Until we start winning, I'm not going to get a trailer wrap.
Right.
I'm not getting tablecloths, not getting tables. You guys bring your own crap. I'm going to get these 20-year-old canopies, which I still have. Buddy just picked up one. I'm going to go get Easy Up canopy, put it on top, right? I ain't doing it. Why? Because I'm going to spend my money on the looks like all these other teams, and you suck. Why would I do that?
I tell you, we spent as little as possible, and we didn't look fantastic.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Won a few races, though, didn't we?
Yeah.
As you shouldn't, right? And that's what I told my team. We have to spend money on what makes you fast, not on what makes you look good.
Right, right.
That's the problem to me with these. Truly still don't have a painted helmet. And he's like, Daddy, I'm like, that don't make you fast. I can spend $1,000 helmet, I can buy you 4 sets of tires. What do you want?
Yeah.
Like, sets of tires are nice.
Right. Still to this day, I'm going to get him one. I told him I will. But, it's one of those deals, right? For me, it is about winning in a sense. And I say it is and it's not. I kind of go back and forth because for me, it's not. In totality, it's not about my kids winning. It's about them understanding how to be successful and how to be a good person, win or lose, how to be respectful. Nowadays, the kids don't say yes, sir, no, sir, Mr. Mike, Mr. Derek. It's Derek. No, he's older than you. Be respectful. We give hugs always in our tent. No kid leaves our tent without giving hugs just because it's family, right? But the same token, they have a job to do. So they go out on a track. If you block, you get one. Truly got in trouble this weekend because he was a bonehead and he should have finished second. The kid blocked him twice and he moved him and they crashed. Third place won, which was probably 5-10 seconds behind.
Right.
He finished second. The other one, his friend, finished third, right? But I don't push that in the kids. People think I'm like, oh, you got be good, run as clean as you can. It's a fight. So if they block, they get one. If they hit you, they got one. Second time, they get maybe a second pass. But the third time, send them out the stadium. Simple.
Yeah, I think it was Matt Johnson who said that he I think it was Maddie that said that you had some of the best drivers meetings you out here, and it was basically that. It's like,
oh, that's right. Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
if you're gonna block, you're getting moved, and don't cry about it.
Simple.
Yeah.
And that's how I tell people. When
Race how you
I'm
wanna
the
be
race
raced.
director, it's very simple. I'm not gonna baby your kids. This is a sport. It's a battle. If you want to be pansies, go race somewhere else. I'm simple. But if you want to block, that's okay. I think there's, Formula One, they do all that. You can't hit each other because it costs too much, right? Go-karts, you can move a little bit. If you block and the guy's nice enough to give you one, I'm going to give you one pass. But know that if you block and he moves you, then that should be okay too. So we race each other with respect and clean. We won't have these issues. But if you also bump someone, expect to get bumped back.
Right.
Right. Race how you want to be raced.
Yeah.
It's simple. It's respect. We did that in old days. We get away from that now because I think the parents have more money. They're not the hardworking class, the blue-collar workers. So it's okay for me to hit you, or it's okay for me to say certain things to you, but don't say it back to me because that's offensive.
Right.
No. You touch him once, it's okay. You touch him twice, send him. Her, him, don't make a difference. So, I look for our kids, and we also have these discussions in our pit with our family, like kid karts, no contact. Okay, great. No contact. But if he blocks you, keep going all the way to the line till he gets ready to run you off the track. And then once you get to there, you got a choice. You can continue that to happen, or you can send him and get a penalty. It's okay. I don't mind getting penalties. We're not going to win everything in life. Right? But in life, in business, if you get slapped, are you going to continue to get slapped? Or are you going to do something about it? Mm-hmm. And that's, for me, that's about raising a good kid, right? I'm not raising punks. We're raising kids that's going to have to go through ups and downs in life, and you're going to have to fend for yourself because mom and daddy can't go to school for you. And if someone's bullying you, it's okay. No, okay, you bully me once. The second time, I'm going to punch you in your throat.
Stand up for yourself.
It's the same deal, right? With the minority thing, going back to that, we understood it. We just, at the end of the day, that's such as life, and you just got to deal with it.
Well, and at Concord, when that happens to you the first time, and the realization of, okay, yeah, this could be a cool opportunity for you, going and racing.
Yeah.
But damn, the repercussions that are outside of your control altogether are huge.
Correct. And so you need to figure that out, right?
And you
what do you want?
And you end up going racing?
So crazy thing is, beat everybody there, get back, and no, to answer your question, no. The crew chief told the owners that even though I was faster than everybody, that I don't have the skill sets and the mentality to be able to drive the car.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which happened a lot back then
you
for
just
minority
proven
drivers.
that too, obviously.
So, unfortunately, didn't get that one, but everything happens for a reason. Came back, met a lady, Deirdre Gerardo, that worked for Petty Enterprises, actually worked for and ran Walt Disney World Speedway, which at that time was also owned by Tony George, that owned Indianapolis Speedway. And long story short, got an opportunity to go to Walt Disney World and work for the Rich Perry Driving Experience as their ride car driver and marketing. Did all the speaking engagements for the year.
Wow.
Lived in downtown. Lived right next to downtown Disney when Shaq and Penny Hardaway was at Orlando, and partied way too much.
How long did you do that for?
I did that for almost a year. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, a friend of mine, girl that I was real serious with, passed away, and I had to deal with that mentally. Went back there and was just a wreck. Said some things that was very inappropriate to back. That culture, number one, was really bad already in the kind of locker room and with the group. And I just took it to a whole nother level that one day and got in a lot of trouble.
Oh.
And went from making a ton of money and private. I had an incredible condo and all perks of downtown. I was living extremely high in the hog, to coming back here with $5 in my name. I'm at a quick turnaround. Wow. Yep. It had a hurricane that week, and as soon as the hurricane left, I packed up my T-Bird again and drove back out here. Got stopped in Alabama, I believe, or one of them. I always stopped before I got there, filled the car up, and went through. When I stopped, the guy was like, "Hey, do you know all your tires are bald?" From the weight of the trailer that was connected to my T-Bird, it had worn the rear tires out. So when I got back, literally, I had no money from living extremely well. And so got back here, started teaching.
And you're around 30 at this time?
Yeah. Got teaching, and a guy was at the track taking one of my classes and said another guy, a black man named Clarence Broussard, was starting a Southwest Tour team. And that I'd be a good fit for it. And I'm like, I don't drive race cars. And he's like, no, we heard you do. I'm like, no, I don't drive. I said, okay, I'll give you a deal. You go tell him if he wants to make some money, then I'll drive. But if you don't want to make money and I ain't getting paid, I'm not racing. Back to the Jimmy White deal. So I get a call from his assistant, Trish, and like, hey, Mr. Broussard wants your resume. And back then, at that time, because of the deaths and some things happened in my life, I'd gotten into a lot of spirituality, my Christian beliefs, and a lot of prayer. And it was on my heart that I was like, don't send him no resume. So I didn't send it to him. 3 weeks, she calls me every other day. Resume. Nope, I ain't sending it. So he shows up on my doorstep, Clarence Broussard. He says, hey, my name is Clarence Broussard. I'm like, hey, how you doing, Mr. Broussard? And he says, I need to get your resume. Saying, I don't need to give you a resume. And he's like, why not? Well, he's standing at the door. I'm standing in. He's standing out. And I said, well, why don't you come in? We'll talk. We had a boardroom back in the air. We sat across the table and we're talking. And he's telling about Timmy Woods and Augie and all these drivers that he's testing. And he's paying them and to drive. And I said, all right. So he says, but I need your resume and I want you to come test. I said, this is the deal, Mr. Broussard. I've done this enough to know that it doesn't make a difference whether I test well or not. If you want to make money in racing, I'm open to doing it. I said, but there's only two things that's going to happen. I'm going to either win the test or crash your race car. That's it. And he's like, looked at me. He's like, you're my driver. I'm going to have Kit Kurosaki call you. It's my business partner. My attorney will call you. He said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to draw up your salary, what you want, what the whole deal is. And that's how I started my Southwest Tour deal. I came back, had 2 nickels in my pocket,
but
wrote up my salary.
You wanted nothing to do with driving at that
point.
point.
I hated racing.
Yeah.
Only reason why I was working at the track for my school, and I still had the racing school, Jesus was running it.
Right, yeah.
While I was doing it. When I came back, I had told Zeus he needed to go work. Luis Martinez Sr. was having little Luis run Jesus.
They offered him that whole job, yeah.
Yep. So I had before then, and before I had left that year, I was driving Jesus every Thursday to Doug Fleming's to work at Doug's to learn how to motor build.
Oh, man.
So he had learned, that's how we kept our Yamahas together, is we'd take them up the air, we'd take them apart. Doug would teach Jesus how to fit the piston and do all that. We'd rebuild it, bring them back. Every Thursday we were going back and forth. I was trucking his butt up to what is it, Valley.
Oh, okay.
To Doug's, right? So I wrote up my own deal, and I had relationships with some NASCAR guys, Walker Evans, and then it just started which is right up the hill from the track. A guy named Randy Anderson was the crew chief for Walker Evans. They had started the Craft and Truck series. Was old dirt off-road guys started that deal. So I knew them. He was building there. Brendan Gahn was up there, and I trained and tested with Brendan. So I had a relationship with the NASCAR side. So I called Randy, called Rick. Hey, this is what I got. What do you think? You're like, you're crazy, but go for it, right? So Randy gave me and sold me a ton of the equipment to start the Southwest Tour team for Clarence. I put everything together.
So you weren't just the driver.
No, I built the whole.
You built the whole thing.
I built the whole thing.
Was that part of the deal? It was not like originally he was trying to get a driver, and you turned out being a ground up building it.
He wanted a driver, but the problem is we didn't have all the right components, and even we had the equipment, but we still didn't have the right team. We were too young, and then I was inexperienced, right? but I knew the only way I was going to do it was I need to make money. I need to pay my bills. So that was a downside. Open wheel, you can move the car around and probably make the car work. NASCAR, if it don't turn left,
It's got to be on rails, yeah.
you're going to suck. I don't care how good you are. So we had all the components, but I didn't have the experience in the car, and I'd never driven one, so I was driving by the seat of my pants. And that first year was crazy. I mean, we run okay, but we went and ran our first race at Vegas. Crazy, we had connects. I mean, just a lot of things happened, but we ran Vegas, called Brendan Gaughan. He got his guys a crew for me.
That's the bull ring, right?
Yeah, at the bull ring, qualified 16th, first show. Well, back up, we sucked first couple practices. Then Brendan's guy came in, tuned it up a little bit, boom, we go right to 16. And then our guys get back in the car, love them, but the tire comes off.
Oh, man.
So, all right, whatever. And then we don't make a series of races. At the tour, 3/10 off, you go home. 40-plus cars coming for 20-something spots. So only time we did well, unfortunately, was when another crew worked on our car. So Old Man Harvick, when I went to Colorado, I'd call Old Man Harvick. He'd come. I'd take the car up to there. He'd work on it. We'd get in a show. Brendan, actually, my deals that went through was some B2B stuff with Brendan. He introduced me to Napa. So I was able to do all the business-to-business projects to help fund the deal, which also helped pay for my salaries because I got a percentage of all my deals. So I made really, really good money. On my Southwest tour. I was probably getting paid more than truck drivers were.
Wow.
Because all the business connections and stuff like that to run
right
the team.
on the behind the deal. That was for me. It was all about driving I wasn't a race car driver.
Again, right? The business side.
Yeah, I wasn't a race car driver. And so, the bottom line was that we were to make some things happen. I learned a lot, but we weren't really successful on the track. But what it taught me was how important it is to have a structure, how important it is to have family and a team and all the things, components behind the scenes. The driver's a small aspect of it. Then, again, being not successful, going the ups and downs, and Mr. Mack was a big portion of it. Like, he'd look at me like, Troy, it's not you, it's the car. It's not you, it's the car. I'm like, I'm driving a car. It's me. Nope, it's not you, it's not the car. Finally, end of the year, he's starting to bring in other drivers to test because, we suck.
It's not happening.
Yeah, we're sucking. I got it. And so it was funny. I became good friends to a guy named Craig Rodman who had won the series. And he went out and tested my car. I'm like, hey, Craig, you drive. So I went out, shake the car down, run decent number. We had just got from Irwindale. So the next week we rent the track out. And he goes out and Craig spins out. I'm like, oh. Goes out a couple more laps. He spins out again. And he brings the car in, and he's like, Troy, you need to get the heck out of this car. You're going to kill yourself. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm willing it. But he's like, this is not that it was a pile, because we had top of the line. Mr. Broussard spent tons of money. 5 motors, 3 race cars, trailer. Like, we're not short on funding, and we're not short on equipment, but we're short on knowledge, driver, and crew. Right? So that taught me a lot. And that aspect kind of rolled into, to me, why we're successful in the coaching side of our program, whether it's off-road, rallycross, go-karts. It doesn't make a difference. It's understanding that the driver is very important, but then also the program and the things behind that.
The driver can really be the last piece of the puzzle. Having the people to know how to work on it, and the hows and whys, right?
Yep.
And the driver, if they got a good baseline, they can really work with them. But other than that, it's kind of the blind leading the blind, it sounded like, for a bit there.
Yeah. And so, and that's very true, right? So that's the problem, I think, with a lot of our youngsters today is once you get to a certain level, you have to have an extremely good crew and program. But then you can also have the best crew, but then you have a horrible driver.
Right.
That don't know if the car's pushing, if it's tight, what to do with it if it's pushing or tight, how to back the corner up, how to cross somebody over, how to, when the car's out of control, can you save it? And only way you do that is to work on, which Broussard really pushed me I had to clean the car every time we got on the racetrack. Monday morning was me cleaning it, doing all the fluids, and then nut and bolt it. So it taught me how to be a mechanic, which I had never, other than go-karts, I did some of it.
Right.
But taught me it on that level. Nowadays, we have these kids who have these mechanics that can race really good, but are they a really good coach? Are they a really good mechanic themselves? Not when they've had the same thing coming up. That's the difference, I think.
Was that the last time that you were in a car there at that
Southwest Tour? I went up till 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
And then when I said I was done, I was done. And so for me, that was the last time.
Yeah.
Other than I've done some now, I've done some. We own a couple of legend cars and some off-road stuff.
That was the last time you
but that
did it
was
in earnest.
Yeah,
right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Ever since then, it's been the coaching,
Just the coaching
and stuff
side.
like
And it's
that.
interesting too. I mean, all the opportunities you had, it wasn't you trying to become a race car driver like other people we've talked to, right? Or even ourselves when we got in the car or whatever. It's you just, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Yeah, it was more on the business side. It
Yeah,
really
right.
was, and that I think that's some of it where I wasn't as successful because that wasn't my desire. That wasn't where my passion and my heart was.
Right.
Guy Sean Monroe said he was the next driver in that wasn't successful. He had two other drivers that sucked, that they could drive a race car, but that wasn't my desire. And he's like, dude, you're going to kill yourself. We were at Phoenix. I never 60 some odd. No, it was 80 drivers for 42 spots. I was last at the board the first time we went there. Hell, I was going to be last the second time we went there. And he's like, you're going to kill yourself. You need to get out this car. You need to get out this sport. And he really, he helped me understand that I was scared in the car. He understand my issues that I was having on why we weren't successful. It wasn't my passion. I was doing it for other things.
Yeah.
Right. And so I have that same discussion with people now. Like,
Yeah.
You have to be doing it for the right reason.
Well, and doing things for the right reason, we haven't really talked about. I mean, you had the karting school, and we're talking about all that, but Troy Adams coaching,
Yep.
which is the kind of the gig now. We haven't heard anything about Speedzone these days. It's all Troy Adams coaching and all that. You don't just do kart coaching, and that's kind of like going fast forward from kind of hanging the helmet up, if you will, as the driver aspect. All the way through the 90s and through you proved multiple times that you were very, very good at teaching people the fundamentals, the basics, and then help them in their way to move up the ladder, whether that be karting or otherwise.
Yeah.
That seems to be what you've been doing more the last 20 some odd years since that time.
Yep.
And you've got some fairly high profile people that you've worked with and whatnot, but not just in the karts, but cars off road now and things like that.
Yeah.
When did the quote Troy Adams coaching thing really become the deal? And how did you start branching out into off road and obviously I'll throw out the big name that I know of, Hallie Deegan and Brian Deegan, working with them, and how did you get into all that kind of stuff?
Happenstance.
Yeah.
I think everything in our life, it happens for a reason. How we've been trying to connect on this deal. Everything happens for a reason. Now we're here on a rainy day and it works within everybody's schedule. But mine, literally everything that's happened, and I tell guys that want to get into the industry, it takes a lot of hard work, but you have to be at a racetrack and for us, I tell them strictly, you're going to come, you're going to work for me. I'm not going to pay you a lot of money. But if you want to get into a big race car, if you come work with me, I guarantee you within a year, you will meet the people that it takes to get into a big car. Hands down. And so a lot of people don't believe me. Some have come and it's happened for them. But it was just that. I was behind the desk and a guy, Neil Grabowski, comes and says, I heard you're a good coach and I want you to coach my kids. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. Sign them up for the race school. He's like, no, I want you to do off-road. And I said, sir, I don't do off-road racing. I ain't never been to off-road race, period.
When is this roughly?
Shoot, I don't know, Mike. I'm getting old. So what is this? 50 to probably 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
So 10, 15 years ago.
2005, 2008, somewhere in that
Yeah, I'm going to
range.
say probably 2008-ish. Market's probably crashing.
Yeah,
Something's happening.
2008-ish, yeah.
Somewhere around there. And I'm like, but you guys know the key word for me is
money.
Hey, baby. Money. So
I'll figure out off-road racing.
What's crazy, and it's I say that, man, but I don't charge enough for our tents. I don't charge enough. When people say, "Oh, you want to do a private?" I don't charge them a lot of money, but because of racing, because of my mentors, the Jimmy Whites and my Aunt Thelma, and how I've been raised, it's anytime I'm going to go into something dealing with racing, I have to get paid for it because that's what.
That's what you do.
Yeah, and that was what's ingrained, right? You don't go racing to go have fun. You go to racing because that's a job. Mm-hmm. And so the dude came up and he's like, nope, you're going to teach him. I said, no, I'm not. He said, no, yes, you are. I talked to Randy Anderson, who also helped me get into the NASCAR deal, and Walker Evans. And those are two huge, if you don't know about Walker Evans and Randy Anderson in off-road, just, Google them. Those are the guys. And Walker had wanted me to race off-road for years and go train with him. He'd run the own thing. He'd run his truck in the river bottom here, go testing. And I'm like, black people don't go off-road. They're going to lynch my black ass out in the desert. And he'd laugh and be like, oh, no, Sunday, you're going to be with me. And I'm like, Walker, I'm not going off-road.
I didn't know Walker was from here. I totally thought he was from Texas. Maybe it was the hat.
Walker, yep.
Because I watched the stadium with him and Ivan Stewart and whatnot when they did Mickey Thompson and the off. Yeah.
I was there for all that.
I love it.
And just behind the scenes, right? I would go and they'd take care of me, and I'm like, I ain't ever. As much ever as I said I would never have my son go karting. And
so you're telling me there's a chance?
Oh, shit. And so, but he says, Neil's like, we'll be here on Tuesday. And how much is it going to take? And I said, all right, you're going to be on Tuesday. It's going to take X number. And he's like, okay. Boom, start counting out hundreds. I said, oh, my God. Like, I threw a number out there that there's no way in heck this dude's going to pay the number. And he paid the number. And so
well, now I'm in.
The next day, I was a off-road coach. Didn't have a clue. But what I did know is how to coach, right? I knew how to take a kid and develop him into a good athlete. That was it. The foundation of racing is racing, development of vision, slowing things down. I don't care if you're a basketball player, football player, race car driver. It's that hand-eye foot coordination, trust, right? All of those things. And so I had about a little over a month to teach these two kids how to drive a race car, how to be successful.
And what were they driving?
They were running the trophy carts that just started.
Okay.
It was Dustin and Jack Grabowski. They also were good friends with the Herps. They all went to SC. So Troy Herps had Riley Herps, Zane Smith, who had just gotten out of go-karts, and Mike Smith builds all of Herp's off-road trophy trucks.
Oh, okay. That's the connection.
Yep. So
I remember watching Zane as a cadet.
Beast.
Yeah.
Right? So basically, I knew some of the kids, but I had these two. They weren't that good. So I'm like, all right. So they come and they come do some cold kart lessons, and I get a feel for what the heck. They brought the trophy carts down, gave me a feel for what the car's rolling over. I never really been a suspension dirt thing, never even seen a dirt track. Right. I'm talking zero.
Even the oval stuff you barely started to understand, right?
Yeah. But totally different to me, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, we go to Las Vegas, our first race, Las Vegas. And we show up to this track. So it had to be like 12 to 15 years ago, because I think I was just starting to date my wife. Maybe even, so Trudy's 10. So it may have been 10 years ago, because I know the first, second year, he was actually young enough to go.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, but long story short, we go there, we show up, and we just blaze the field.
And you said that the Munchkins weren't so hot. When
they were started. When we first started, it was rough. But the cool thing about Neil, hardcore racer, hardcore business person,
this is the dad?
Dad and big disciplinarian. Kids very respectful. Kids understood if I say go right, go right, go left, go left, go sit down, go sit down, go take a poop, go take a poop. Like there was no talking back, they were, for me, very respectful. Now, for other people that they knew that they could get away and do whatever they wanted to, they could, right? And we're talking families that they had a lot of yes people that they were around. Mm-hmm. So whatever they told other people to do, those people jumped and did it. I'm not like that. At the end of the day, I can care less. Like, I didn't care about being here. Yes, you pay me to be here, but if we're going to do it, we're going to do it correctly, or I'll leave. I've threatened them. I'm like, I'll leave your XYZ out here. So we've established a good foundation out the beginning, and we went out and won races. But it was almost Charlotte all over again, because at that time there was only one other black guy I'd ever seen at the race, and it was an older gentleman. I don't know his name, but he worked for Troy Herbst and him. I don't know what he handled for Troy Herbst, but he was always there. And he sat me down, and we had a good conversation, but he was always there. But I was welcome in the family, right? Walker Evans, any of those groups, very welcome. But the trophy carts, again, you have a lot of wealthy parents at that time, especially, and then my black ass going there and winning races. Who is this guy? Problem is, we have the Sean Burrs of the world. I've got a lot of friends, Roddy Anderson, which would play racial. I knew they loved me. We had a good thing, but no one else knew.
Right.
So when they play back then, it stirred them up. And after the first win, it was pretty tense in the spotters tower. And I remember Neil, I came back after the first win, 1-2 sweep. And come back.
And you're not just coaching; you're in.
I'm a spotter.
Spotter for both kids.
So on off road, I coach, and then I also spot. Even to today, I coach probably 15, 20 kids, but then I get paid to spot. So everybody knows, we coach. I give you whatever I got. When I get to the racetrack in the morning, I'll still give you whatever I got. In the evening, I'll look at video. But when I put my headset on, whoever that I'm spotting for,
that's all it is.
I don't like anybody else.
Yeah.
If it means I got to move you, it is what it is. Some families like it. They're still training with me. We're killing it across the board, off-road, desert. But that's how I am. And so in the beginning, it was just us, the two kids.
Do you flip a coin on who gets the headset?
No, so they
question.
won junior 2. So I actually had Parker. So it was a mod cart, a junior 2, and a junior 1. I had 3 kids actually.
So they were in different classes.
There were 3 different classes.
I got you.
So I put the headset
Lucky
on.
for them.
That makes it easier, yeah.
Yeah, it was real good. I wouldn't have done it. It just happened for a reason, right? Everything happened again, goes back. And so we were very fast, and it just snowballed from there. You know, you start winning, and it's something different. It's, you know, we started they started training in go-karts. It got into the go-karts. They won more, and it's the news spread. And so about 2 years, I probably had about 5 clients. I didn't get paid a lot. What I did was most of my money was made from the track and the training on the go-kart stuff. And I'd go there and I'd get paid on wins or get paid on podiums.
Gotcha. Like a bonus deal
bonus money. Yeah. We won. So it was a good deal, traveled, something new, something different from karting, different discipline. And then throughout the years, probably call it 5-6 years into that, we won. Like, we swept all the junior stuff.
Regardless of who the kids, different kids, different people.
I had different kids.
Always at the sharp end.
Yeah, and what I would say our how do I call it? My strength is taking kids that from the back of the pack, and within 6 months, especially in the off road, I would guarantee them we'd be in the front.
Wow.
Money back. So it was training every other week, no every week, no whole bunch, just this discipline, this is what I need you to do, this is what I'll do. We go train on the go-karts, and then we go out off-road. And I did that with the Grabowskis, and then I got called from another kid, Povorty.
Yeah, actually, he got a chance. He ran with Machismo, the 12-hour.
Yep.
Povorty did.
Yep. So Christopher came on board. They were last. And I don't know how we found each other, but I showed up, and Dad was like, "Oh, we're gonna win the race," and I'm like, "But you're like 17th out of 18th. How are we going to do that?
Right.
And then like we didn't have any goals, no structure. It goes back, right? All the ups and downs that I had in the NASCAR stuff, go-kart stuff, just putting together goal boards, and I have a rating scale that we have the drivers do that kind of gets everybody in line with what their skill sets are. Sometimes we believe we're a 10 when we're really a 2, and sometimes our parents believe we're a 10 and we're really a 2, and the drivers believe that we're a 2 but they're really maybe an 8. And so we have to get that level, and once we understand really where our foundation is we build from there. So we did that with Christopher and quite a few drivers throughout. And I actually got that from, that's a whole nother story, but I'll give them a plug, from Even Management overseas, Norway. Andreas Mikkelsen, we had the number 3 world WRC rider. He was from Red Bull, and he came over and we trained a lot. And then my counterpart, Roy Snellington, which is phenomenal, taught me a lot about that. And so we started doing that, and Christopher started winning. And then we won a championship. Then from there, I had Shelby Anderson, which was a Walker Evans family and group. In the off-road, she'd killed it. But Shelby's was one of those, not now, she's grown older, but she was one of those that once she started winning, she didn't want to work as hard. She was me as a young person, right?
Right.
Just do enough just to win. And so when she started aging out, I didn't have another girl, and I would only work with one girl at that time, period. Why is that? Just a different temperament. They're going through a lot. Boys learning how to win, learning, they're a minority, understanding a place. You are a minority. You're not white. You're not black. You're a minority. You're a girl, right? Know your place in the sport. Know that you're a girl. Know your place. It sounded negative, but that's how I look at it. And so it's, in order to groom them properly and to have those real conversations, it's just too, I won't say stressful, but it's tiring to have multiple minorities in the sport. Me, Haley and I talk a lot about the double negatives, and we catching that, but I couldn't do it. So Christopher won, and then I went to Brian on a test day. We had been beating her, but I could see that she's a beast. They didn't have the skill sets, didn't have the foundation. So I said, hey, I want to, I don't have the girls in the program. I want to train your daughter. And he was like, all right. And I'm like, fuck this dude. And then he was like rude. He was always rude. And
I've talked to him before. He's got a little bit of a chip.
Yeah, but you know what? Brian's that's not him, right? He and I are so much alike. It's ridiculous. He doesn't have a chip. He taught me how to be a better dad. He taught me so much more about racing than probably the next person would probably be Jimmy White way back in the day. That's why that dude is so successful. He's a strong Christian, loves his kids, works hard, right? So, but his thing was, he thought, I think in his eyes, that I was coming to try to
make some money off of.
Make some money.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was talking about. Basically just come in and make money.
Well, I would say at this point, because it's already been a few years, you're now, would you say you're established in the off-road stuff?
Oh, I'm well established.
Yeah.
I'm beating up on everybody.
But maybe so he thought it was just a money grab on your part and not an actual, no, I would like to have, because I see something in her.
Well, and he has Corey Cruzman, which is a beast, right? Highly respect Corey's deal. And so he has the best. Mm-hmm. Like, he already has the best coach. Why do I need this black dude that I don't know?
And Brian's racing himself, right?
He's racing. Yeah. Corey's his spotter. Corey's
right.
his guy.
Yeah.
Ryan's winning over there. Just got into Rallycross. Mm-hmm. Just went to L.A. Did well there. I think they even won it, or close to.
So why does he need to?
Why does he need me?
Yeah.
Right. Why does he need me? And so I'm looking at her, and I'm like, man, she could be stupid good. And I remember I walked away. I said, this dude's racial. He's racist and idiot. And I like, whatever though. Once I'm like, cut you, I'm done. I'm good. And something just told me, it goes back. He's like, no, go back to that guy. Go back to him and say, you'll do it for free. So, and I'm getting paid good. I'm winning. I got the kid that's winning a championship. At that time, Shell was going out. Ronnie Anderson had just won. He had just won his biggest race, the Challenge Cup, which he had never won before. But we went and trained in this new training that I'd figured out, and he won the biggest race. So I had like 3 big hitters already in the kids, and now I want to take on this girl for whatever reason. And something just told me to go back. So I go back. I was like, look, give me one test day. It was actually, and it went to the next, it was going into the new year. I said, give me one test day. So you give me one test day, and if I don't make her faster, you ain't got to pay for it. Mm-hmm. It's simple. And he's like, all right. And he's always like that little, all right. So I'm like, all right, B, let's whatever. So we go to Elsinore, and I start doing split times. He's like, what the hell is you doing? And his crew chief, nobody really liked me. So I'm doing splits. They ain't never seen splits. So doing that, have my little Micron, Multicron, AIM Sports, big plug. And Mike and those guys at that time, they weren't in off-road, right? And I'm telling Mike and them, I need to get you in off-road. I need some help, blah, blah, blah. Mike's like, no, Troy. Robbie, all those guys like, what the hell? I'm at Elsinore. I'm like going over there getting stuff. They're like, no, I need to know Multicron. I'm getting all this stuff. They're like, what the hell? So we're sitting at this test, and I'm like, we need to fix section 1. What the heck is section 1? I'm like, okay, from this corner to this corner, you're slower than all my other drivers. I'm not going to give you how we got fast. I'm just going to tell you, we're going to fix this section. We're going to get better. Long story short, that test, we get her faster. Mm-hmm. The very next race is at Elsinore.
It's convenient.
Hence the test.
Yeah. And they beat us. And they beat Christopher. Now, we won the championship, and they beat us. I think it's the second race, and they beat us at Elsinore. Haley beat Christopher Pavordi.
Gotcha.
At Elsinore. And I'm like, oh,
and Pavordi's like, what
oh,
the hell,
pissed.
bro?
Oh, he's pissed.
What are you doing to me
Chip
right
and
now?
Chip, unfortunately, and now we're cool, but that was a tough year.
Yeah.
But it was a good learning year for myself, and for me, it's all about the kids. I already had multiple drivers in a class, you know, and I think sometimes we forget where we were. We forget the past. We only remember what the future and the ups and downs of the future. But, you know, I had to remind them, like, we sucked a couple years ago, and we built this program. We have so much more to learn, right? And sometimes we can learn in our losses. Mm-hmm. But
absolutely,
when you got X amount of money, you're not trying to hear that.
Right.
So I'm training Haley and then spotting for Christopher. But I'm training Christopher at the same time. And I used to try to get them to practice at the same time. And they would never do it. Parents wouldn't do it. I'm like, you guys will grow so much more, but nope. So I would go to Christopher's, and they were like, okay, what's Haley doing? I'm like, I can't give
That's
you.
not how it works.
Yeah. I can't give you their setup stuff. I can tell you she's faster over here. Or I can tell you these are her weaknesses, but
because
I'm not going to
anybody could pay attention
exactly.
to that.
Yeah.
And same thing, right? So,
we had the same thing when we were running the CSK tent, right? We have all these, and they're all racing against each other.
Yeah.
Well, if you can go ask him what he's doing, but I'm not telling him tire pressures.
Right.
You can talk to him, but it's so tough when you've got people in the same class under your own tent or your own umbrella.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because you're like, well, I want them all to do well, but
and that's the thing.
Deal.
They're all my kids, right?
Yeah.
I want them to do good, but when I put my headset on,
whoops,
you're not my kid no more.
Yeah.
Like, you're the enemy.
Booter.
And that's the problem, right? I knew what her weakness was. So it all came down. I still do, but I used to do this SWOT analysis, so strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats on the business side, and I do it for the drivers. So every race they'd have to do a SWOT analysis for me on what they did, what their strengths, what their weaknesses was, what the opportunities. So they were both doing them. And Bryant, we're coming down to actually Christopher. We started losing, started having some issues. Haley's up. I'm like, hey, the problem is it's not her, it's us. What do we need to do to get better? What do we need to do? So we break it down. All of a sudden, we're on a charge again, and we're coming back at her. And so 3 races before the finale, before the final race, we are up at Utah, I think. We're at Utah. And Christopher and I were fast. And Brian, and cool part about my off-road program is a lot of times I'll have a video camera and I have a radio connected to my headset that also plays to the video camera. So when people are saying, "Oh, Troy, you tell them how to rough drive, or you're doing this, you're doing that,"
Everything you're saying is recorded.
Everything's recorded.
Yeah.
So, which people don't understand now in karting, right? They think that I teach all these dirty things and rough drive, and I teach the kids how to. I'm like, no, that's not what I teach them. I teach them how to have balance and slow down and use brakes and be smarter and outsmart the competition. It's them who go into attack mode when it's time. It's not me. I'm usually telling them to slow down. So Brian's pissed at me because we take her out. So on Saturday, we big crash, we do well, we tighten up the lead, but he's mad. But on Sunday, the cool thing about Lucas Oil, there was always church. And I would say, hey, you're a big Christian, but the stuff you say is not Christian-like. I had to hit him with
Brian.
his own stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, so just because of that, after church, I'm going to pull up this video, and I want you to hear exactly what I'm telling Christopher. And so he was like, all right, and he looks at the video, and I'm telling him, Christopher, back the corner up, cross her over, calm down, relax, breathe, all these things.
Quite opposite of what happened.
What he thought.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's how we were able to beat him, But early on in the video, I would tell him, I told them, our weakness is, Brian, you mentally preparing her to get ready for green flag. So what we would do with her is if we were off pole and she was pole or vice versa, on the parade lap, I'd have her move down and bump her. Or if he was behind her, I'd had her hit her a couple of times. So then Brian would be so caught up, or the spotters get so caught up in what the driver's doing. They're not telling their drivers to relax, get ready for green, give all these instructions. They're pissed at my driver
Doing
for
this other stuff.
mentally getting in their head.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Because you got the headset on.
which was a nemesis,
for him.
ended up screwing me at the end, right?
I was gonna say,
Because I told her
eventually-
I told him 3 races before the final.
I was to say, eventually stuff's going to catch back up because you're going back and forth, right? I
Yeah.
mean, so
So, I mean, but the bottom line was it was the relationship that he and I had and the kids was much more than, again, for me, winning. And so we end up, getting done, having that conversation, and he realized that. And that's really when I went to work for him because he realized how good and what my spotter techniques were compared to what
the
people
perception
thought
was.
was happening, right? And how calm he could see now why my kids were calmer, why we could jump further, why we could go in deeper. It's because they were relaxed and calm. It wasn't me. I'm just keeping them focused on what the task was. And so, crazy part, Mod Kart kids, they were shooting their first movie and they were taping all of this. So the last race, we were 2 points away from the championship. And it goes back
Haley's
for Haley.
leading.
Yep, Haley's leading. All we had to do is beat her, which we should have. We're in Arizona. And it goes back. Like, how do I get in this? Whole deal was all mental. And so I remember we were testing either Elsinore or Glen Helen. And I told, I said, we can't beat Haley by messing with her mind anymore. And you can't beat her by rough driving her and moving her, because she has all the skill sets that you have. Plus, when it comes down to swinging, she swings harder. So don't play with her on that. All the crew chiefs mad. Unfortunately, dad, mom, they're not too happy. Dad really wasn't happy. Mom was really cool with it. But they thought that I was saying that Christopher was less of a driver. And I'm like, no, the boy's a beast, but then we're also racing against a beast. And she's better than us when it comes to swinging.
you're going to have to outsmart him now. Yeah.
It's about being smart. You can't aggressively do this. Not how we won all the other races.
Mm-hmm.
The crew, we had a big meeting couple nights where I'm like, I'm not a yes dude. I'm telling you guys, we can't win if we race like this.
Especially coming down to the wire, right? You're going to have to pull some tricks out of your bag.
Last race.
Yeah. They've seen it all season. Now you got to do the other stuff.
Last race. This is on the Mod Kart, the movie. We're sitting in a trailer, and I'm telling him, dude, can't do it this way. They're pissed. We go out, 2 laps to go. We're sitting second. I know we're going to pass her. Like, we had everything. And he decided in this big bowl corner that to drive underneath her and move her up. And He swung, she swung harder. We flip.
Oh man.
Everybody's pissed at me. All right, whatever. So we go back in the trailer, and I told him, and we're both crying. And I just told him, I said, I tried to tell you to be smarter. Everybody's fast. It's the smart people who win races. And so my last race, and I just told him, I gave him a hug. I said, hey, this is my last. At that time, I was ready to get out of off-road too. And I've been in it even more. But I'm like, this is probably going to be my last race with you guys and probably in off-road because I'm tired. Like, I know how to win. We've won, but the respect level here, we got a lot of guys, got a lot of money, and, I don't. So
it's taking a different turn.
Yeah. And so I said, but let's go win this race, and we're going to win it our way. So he's like, all right. And so we went out, we beat her. We get the, champion. She gets the championship. We get the cup race championship, which was huge, right? I had both my drivers there. At that time, they didn't like each other. Now they like each other. But it just showed that, for me, it was truly and still is about the mental aspect of this game. It's about who's, as a young people, they're both very successful in their racing careers. Actually, I could say I'm blessed that all my kids that have come through that era right now, from Hallie that's running, trucks, Christopher's killing it. He's a factory driver for Honda and in the off-road, and as well as he does ProLite. There, Ronnie's probably the number one factory driver for Polaris. Cole Keats ran Rallycross, has a couple factory deals on the table for Audi, but he's also a factory designer for Polaris on their suspension, and he's a factory rider for UTVs. Sheldon, like a lot of them. But the biggest thing that we've always talked about is being smart. Everybody's fast at that level. Everybody has money, but smart people win races, and so that's what the off-road industry's kind of done for me, and how we work it is we pound a ton of laps in go-karting, and then we go over in races.
Yeah, and I
Strong
saw
fundamentals here.
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen that was what was I thought was interesting, is I knew you were doing the coaching stuff with Hallie and the kids and whatnot, but then they come out and do the karting aspects and stuff like that. Do you still do any coaching with Hallie at all, or is she's got the car thing and there's not a lot of, or does she come back over here like in the wintertime and cut some karting laps? I think I saw her actually doing the off-road thing when you did you had her and Truly out there going off in the go-karts.
When Hallie comes back now, it's love her to death. She's more is now just a mental support. We talk about there's two, again, her place in NASCAR and what her goals are. And we talk about goal boards now that she's with Ford, and that's been a blessing. I think that's a great alignment. Brian and I had two different roles in her career, and we still kind of do. She's off doing her own thing in North Carolina, is doing a great job at that. And she's had a huge support. He did a great job of building that side of it and the social media and that platform, the business side. When she comes here now, I try to make it as fun as possible.
Laid back,
allow her to get away from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get away from all the monotony. I think that's my role with all of our older kids. Anytime you see them on our social media right now, it's them coming here and having fun.
Yeah, tear up some go-karts on the dirt.
Which allows me to have real conversation about where they are now, right? What are they doing physically, mentally? What do they think about in the future? The 5-year plan.
Still coaching.
Yeah, but it's not on track. It's just different, right?
Yeah.
And then also, which cool part is they're all still big kids. Like, no matter where we go, they take time out for our family. And that's what people like. Do we have a race team? Do I have a race in school? Yeah, but I got a big family. And at the end of the day, I can remember probably 5 years back when I had Riley Herbst. I worked with a guy out of Vegas, Dustin Ash, and he had Riley Herbst and Noah Gregson and Zane Smith. And then actually Mikey Womack, another go-karter. Those four. Everyone but Mikey Womack is racing professional. After those three a lot of them were in the off-road. And then after those three were Cole Keats, Ronnie Anderson, Hallie Deegan, Sheldon Creed, all of which are racing professionally at a high level, right? But if I call any one of those, they all come for the camp, speak to the kids, they come here, they become big kids. right? And so that's for me is more than anything. It's not about the coaching. It's in racing as much as it is how much they're also willing to give back to the sport, to other people. They're not selfish. They may have a lot of money. They may have a lot of notoriety. But at the end of the day, they're really there and they understand where they were. Like, they don't forget that they were garbage. Like, we laugh at it. They don't forget that, whatever, I sent you off the track because you was talking crazy to me. But then they also replay that. Like, why we've been successful is because Haley and Cole Keats and Ronnie put a lot of pressure on Brody Eccleston, who won the championship in Mod Kart, who puts a lot of pressure when Truly comes out and talks crazy to Brody. Brody will cut the track and send him. And then Truly will be like, well, why'd you do that? He's like, because you weren't being respectful. Have some respect. This is my house. And Truly like, no, he's like, no. I'm 17. You are 10. It's fucking my house. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody gave it down. Yeah, your dad when he goes out, like, they know there's only a few of them that have beat me on the track, but they know if I go out and it's one lap to go and I'm within a car length, it's over. Like, hold on, because I am going to get you somehow.
Yeah,
it's about winning.
Because you want the $100 at the end of the day.
Exactly.
He's still getting those checks.
He's crash or coming early.
Yeah.
Troy, this has been a lot of fun. I've been wanting to get out here and chat with you for so damn long. Like I said, I can't remember if it was on the mic or not, but I think it wasn't. But it's not the Adams Motorsports Park episode. It's the Troy Adams episode. But maybe to kind of cap things off, it's still synonymous. It's Adams, Troy, Adams, the track. With the coaching, with the track and stuff like that, and having it been around for, as you said, so many years, 60s, however many years it is, what do you see going, what new challenges, or what you joke about you being old or whatnot, you're still a young man and getting a lot of stuff done.
I'm old.
What are the plans moving forward for both Troy and the track here?
You know what? I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm one of those, I would say my wife and I'm blessed to have a beautiful wife, Kara, and our biggest thing is how do we leave a legacy and how we truly leave a mark in the industry. As long as Truly is racing, then we'll support it. We'll be here. Family's going to support it, right? If I could say that my big dream would be to have the number one driver development company for youth in the world. We have some overseas drivers that are doing huge things. We don't tout it. We have some underlying things, I think, in the industry that's happening. If I could partner with a large manufacturer company to work with our youth, I think it's something that's warranted. I'd love to have more minority drivers. Our race team is very, very diverse with Asian, Hispanic, Black, white. And I love that about our team. I think we're probably one of the most diverse race teams and programs in the country. But at the end of the day, I want to be the best. I want the best kids, not just on the track, but I want the best kids, period. Right? If you're a good racer and you're a butthole as a person or as a kid, then I didn't do my job.
Right.
So if I were to say what would be my, legacy, or what would I want people to know me for, is that we were able to raise good kids to be good people, not good kids to be, or good race car drivers. I don't care about their winning. I don't care about all the championships that they have. Most of the kids that we had in the past that are doing well now sucked when they were younger. And they'll all tell you, I would probably say the only person that did not suck to me, maybe two, is Sheldon Creed. Zane Smith was a beast that really wasn't mine, but we were around. But Sheldon Creed, like, out of all my guys that are now, and Noah Gregson, that I was around, that I had some input in. Okay, Noah was good, but he wasn't Zane Smith. Zane was killing him. Now Noah is a beast, right? Everybody else sucked. We laugh at it, we talk about it, they suck. I say it over the mic. I mean, but to me, life lessons and being humble and understanding what humility is has made them to where they are. And they also willing to teach that to other kids. So, if I would say that would be it. But I get, you asked me a question, or on the questionnaire that you sent, and you said, what are some of the issues, that you see with racing and karting?
Yeah. If you were the host, what question would you ask?
And so I'm gonna spin this back at you guys. What do you guys think are some of the problems, since we're dealing with kids? What do you see, or why is Southern California? I have my own reasoning, probably not the most popular, but what are some of the reasoning why Southern California, but really Southern California is not the race hub or not the pool for the talent in the U.S.
like that it once was? Well, to be honest with you, because of my lack of national expertise, I mean, really, I know this area. But if I were to try to think back to when Challenge comes to town, or when Pro Tour was, whatever it is, I don't know where everybody's from. So I don't know, but I can say that if I don't recognize them, I'm assuming they're not from SoCal.
Yeah.
Maybe they're NorCal or whatever, but what is the reason why maybe it's not as well? I'll say this.
Well, what about Supernats?
Well, and again, I need to pay closer attention to.
Okay.
But as far as who are the recognizable people at the Sharp and Say Rock the Rio or Pro Tour, Supernats, that kind of stuff, man. At the end of the day, I can say why one of the biggest challenges is for kids and stuff like that going on up, and I think if it's too much hand holding or if it's too quote nice,
yeah.
Or like as a coach that I've had with parents, one of the tough things. So I mean, out of the gate, I guess it would be honestly parents in some way, shape, or form, and it's how they are maybe always trying to uplift or build up their kid. I even had this, and I'll throw her name out there, and we're still friends, and her and her dad, Jessica Dana. She actually is was back. He's doing a bunch of car stuff and whatnot, and her dad Troy. When we were doing the kart stuff, I was kind of a no nonsense. She was my first girl student.
Yeah,
and it was, hey, we suck at this. Like, this is what we need to work on right here, right? And I'd get done having that conversation, and Troy would come right back on the other side and be like, no, you're doing great. You're doing this or that. And I'm like, no, she's not. She's not doing great. Just
right.
Like you had mentioned to me, let me do my job. My job is to coach them. Your job is to shut up, go over here and do your own thing. And eventually it all starts to click and all starts to make happen. But as far as like SoCal not being what it was, that's a good question. I don't know that I'd be able to throw in other than the hand holding maybe.
Yeah.
Man, I think it starts with the teams. I agree with you, Mike. And honestly, I mean the parents can really put the wrong stem in the brain, if you will.
Not always, but yes.
They can. They
right.
can.
No, I agree.
But I think, like you were talking about earlier, how when you were racing, the car had to be thrown around a little bit. And right now, I mean, chassis are softer, tires are softer, stuff's gotten way faster. I think the big thing is, despite what the tires and the motors are doing, the kids aren't understanding the hows and the whys.
Okay.
They're just, regardless of the team, they're being taught to just go fast and to understand how or why they're doing it.
Well, and then fair, that's the same everywhere, right? In
theory.
I
think so. I mean, and then when comes time to race, they know how to drive and they don't know how to race, and they just got to learn how to do both. Which involves, like you said, using the brake.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't think that happens too often.
So what do you think, Troy? What's your thoughts?
I think 100%. No, I agree with both of you guys. I think that's the parents. I think there's twofold, right? I think the Southern California, I use the terminology soft, right? I think our drivers are soft. I think our parents are soft. But that also comes from the organization. So if we are so strict as well to call penalties, then that creates some of that. So there's that balance.
Yeah.
If you don't allow, it's like looking at a basketball game. If you look at the pros way back in the day, things were a lot rougher.
Let them play a little bit.
They let them play a little bit. Now you foul hard, the guy goes up for a layup, and you foul him hard, then you get a technical. Well, then what are we teaching them? So now instead of going to the hole, now we just shoot threes. We do all these. The game has changed, and I think when you go to these big races or in Europe, it's like they're getting after it. When we go to Mexico, you freaking better get after it, right? It's every person for themselves, and they actually applaud that. Like when I was like, man, this is back to old school. Truly, you better get up on the wheel, because if you don't, they're going to shoot the gap and you're going to rub you. It's all good. As long as they're side by side,
they're in there. Yeah.
They're in.
Yeah.
Right.
And so like one of the things that I've always done with my coaching is because I pride myself in not moving people out of the way like that. If side contact's going to happen. So what I'll try to do is tell my students, you want to be okay with the contact, but strive not to make it. So if you do make it, you're not wrecking them.
Yeah.
It's maybe not clean, but it's legal. You're not going to dump somebody or like that for the sake of if that's the only way you can get around them, then you're not doing a good enough job.
Totally agree. But let's flip the script. Forget that you're the aggressor. It's what's happening when it's happening to you. See, I always tell people, and I tell Truly all the time, you're going to apologize whether you're right or wrong. Doesn't make a difference. But know who you're racing with, because we got to be smarter. So if you know the guy behind you is a guy that 2 laps ago that's going to throw it in on you, be ready for it.
Sure.
And then what's the counter?
Right.
Like, know that he's going to throw it. What's the counter?
Yeah.
So that when it happens, you can counter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The flip side is that guy, let's say that guy that throws it in, if he doesn't throw it in, how does he ever learn it?
Right.
Right. So now we say, if you contact, these classes are no contact classes now. So now everybody's hesitant. Oh, I don't want to throw it in because if I contact, I lose. But how do you ever practice being able to get that last lap pass?
You're only going to learn by making the mistakes.
You're only going to learn by crashing.
Yeah.
You're only going to learn, or getting it done.
That's what we would talk to people when we're coaching them in the sport carts and stuff like that, right? The students are they're very, very preoccupied with going fast and stuff like that. And then okay, agreed. You do need to be able to get around the joint before you can do a lot of racing. Because if you're getting passed all the time, we need to go faster.
You guys announce that now. I love it too.
Right.
Like, if you're getting passed and not passing, you're in the slow class.
Yeah, going novice, right?
I love it.
But the other part of that is I'm like, in these practice sessions, like when we're doing coaching, when you're out there practicing, whether it's a clinic or otherwise, if it's not for points, freaking try something.
Yeah.
Stop just going around and beating down laps when you don't. If you know how to drive, then that's not what you need to work on.
Yeah.
I tell them, I'm like, make the mistakes here on practice day, and if you make a mistake tomorrow, on race day, hopefully you're not making as many.
Right.
You got them out of the way today.
And like you said, truly, you go apologize. Like, I am very sorry. I'm sorry. I tried it. I effed it up, and that's it. But hopefully you learn something, and maybe the next time he'll stick it. Doesn't mean I'm not sorry because I tried it.
Right.
I'm sorry because I effed it up.
Because we crashed.
Yeah.
Right.
And whether it was clean or not.
Right.
Even if it was clean and you crashed, we had one, the guy was like, oh, yeah, well, the kid took his hands off the steering wheel and he went straight into the barrier, but it was a late move. I'm like, well, the video looked like he was side by side. I don't know, but
keep your hands on the wheel.
But it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Go apologize. They don't want to hear it. I don't care. You're going to learn how to do it. But the flip side is when we get back to the pit, and I use Truly because this is my son.
Sure.
Right.
I ain't going to lie. We use this for every single one of my drivers. They're going to go on TV. They're going to say, this is what we practice. Well, because we're going to keep doing it until you perfect it.
Yeah.
But when we go back and say, the question was, why are Southern California kids to me not as good? I don't say, yes, it's the parents a little bit. I think the officiating has gotten a lot softer where the parents yell. We start looking at a driver or drivers or moves and say, oh, it was a late move, or oh, they shouldn't have touched. And so we penalize them. So now the kids won't do it. And then they get to these Super Nats, these big races. In the last couple of years, we were one of the fastest at last Super Nats, and we were 23rd, yet we run up front everywhere up here. Antonino was back there in the back, and he dominates. So what does that tell you? You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus dominated every single thing in mini. and the boy qualifies and races mid-pack at the back of the pack.
Now, on the qualifying, I mean, I guess I would say that's just on him. Like, why is that? Now, going back to what you're saying about the racing. Now, on the racing, okay, now I got you. But if he qualifies slower.
Problem is, though, Mike, in those big races, right, the practice, most of our kids, if you watch when you look at
they're going
past,
racing.
They're pretty good in the practice. Pretty decent. Top 10s. We were 5th. We screwed up because we didn't change the car all the way. It rained last year.
Right.
Or 2 years ago. But the bottom line is our kids are pretty decent on the practice stuff. When it gets down to qualifying pressure, how they rotate in and get the draft and work with the partners, which we don't do in California. It's every man for himself.
That is true.
We're stupid. I tell people, we're stupid. No one wants to practice together. Then you get to the big races, and you have the Midwest group, or you have this group. All of a sudden, you see 3 or 4 cars line up. They get out of line, and
that's it. Yeah.
So they work together, and our guys go whoop whoop whoop.
Yep.
Now we're mid-pack, back of the pack.
I gotcha.
Then you go to race, and we don't have the racecraft because you're not throwing it in from 3 cars back.
Yeah.
And when they do that, they're like, holy, our kids freak out because they're not used to that. Mm-hmm. So now that guy, by the time he throws it in on them, 2 corners later, the kid's already gone.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, some of the officiating as well, because
how they're dictating what's legal and what's not.
Yeah, we're not allowing that close contact, that aggressive racing, because, we don't want to maybe hurt the cars. Very rare do you get hurt. But then to me, it magnifies. I was just talking, again, buddy, good friends of mine, Rice and all those guys, we talk about what we're seeing, the weaknesses of the kids getting to the next level. And it is understanding, but just the race craft.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like you said, not just doing the passing, but knowing how to be passed. I think it was it Billy Cleveland that mentioned that in his deal, right? Or maybe, no, it was Andy Sazeman. But the point
Andy,
was the same, is that it's not just
because we're talking about the P-pick.
Yeah.
I love P-pick.
Yeah.
Right.
Go learn how to make things happen. And, it's not just doing passing, but getting the passing, being passed.
So what did they say why people won't do it?
Why people won't do the P-pick?
Yeah, why don't people like P-pick?
I think because they're scared of being in the back. I was about to say, go wrecking stuff.
Scared of being in the back, and also scared of trying to go past a bunch of people.
God, I mean, for club level?
Isn't that racing?
I would love to do it.
I love P-pick.
So Chill Challenge, you guys have to come. That's all we do.
It should be. Yeah.
And it's you learning. Kids that run up front, when they do P-pick, you start realizing they ain't that good.
Right.
They know how to win when they're up front. And they're
it's
very
a different
mechanical.
Story having to go past a few different rows, right?
Yeah. And so that to me is kind of where we've fallen off the map. It's unfortunate, but I don't know. I don't know what the fix all is going to happen, but I think the officiating's got to change because we're starting a community or an environment that it's hands off, and when you get to the next level, I don't care what it is not hands off.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fight, and unfortunately, our kids don't know how to fight.
Yeah.
So, but it's interesting to see your guys' perspective. You were kind of walking around it. He was trying to be politically correct in the beginning.
And
then you just went straight in and said, "Okay, it's the parents."
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, and the parents have nothing to do with the officiating. No. But the officiating can change for what the reception is and things like that. Yeah.
Right.
But no, I mean, as a coach. And to be quite honest, I don't deal with nearly as many parents as a coach as I used to, because now most of my students are older. But that could be trying. But I deal with the parents all the time as a track person. And you can just see how certain teams and certain groups do it differently.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, this is a conversation I've had with some teams and some coaches. Like, hey, I get it. I get that you're standing up for your person or whatever, but they're wrong, right? And so that's why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it, because I understand you don't want to lose a customer. I get it, but they effed it up, right. And if you're not going to tell them, well, you damn sure know I'm going to tell them, and I can be the bad guy.
Right.
But it's usually about safety and shit.
Do you think they really know, some of these coaches or some of the? Like, I think sometimes they're in the bandwagon, or they're so much into it now that it's.
No, there can be
the ones that I'm thinking of.
There can be for sure a fair amount of tunnel vision, and I think that's kind of the big thing too. Like going back to Mike's point about the parents is, let's take a deep breath in a second to not get on the chip. whether
Yeah.
it's for a penalty, a black, whatever it may be, you know,
Yeah.
some contact on track, and just be like, just try to understand why it happened. Try to understand why our kid got a penalty
Yes,
or
sir.
why the other person didn't.
Yeah.
And remember, you're not the one driving the damn go-kart. At the end of the day, we're all putting
Yeah.
Yeah.
a 10-year-old kid in a freaking go-kart or younger.
At 60 mile an hour.
Yeah. They're going to suck a lot or a little bit, and
Yeah.
they're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And as long as they're able to come back in one piece,
Yeah.
all right, cool, they learn from it. But man, oh man.
And I'm sure you driving the car to and from the track is a little bit more scary than the kid driving the go-kart around the track right now.
I tell my new kids now, I said, when their parents like, oh, they should be going faster. I said, okay, let's do this. When you leave, I'm going to have you put your son on your lap. You're going to get him up to speed at 60 mile an hour, because that's where we just went today. Push cruise control, and then don't touch the wheel till you get home.
All right.
He's like, most of them are like, why would I do that? I said, because that's what you're trying to teach your kid.
Yeah.
You're telling him he should be going faster, but you won't put your life in his hands driving home. What's the difference?
yeah.
There was a...
Don't tell them what to do when you
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah, and that you won't do it.
Yeah.
There's
Right?
been a few times that on like open practice, like parents have been complaining about this kid or that kid or their kid, you know. I'm like, just go hop in a rental cart really quick.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're gonna get a little perspective right now.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. I
And
remember-
even there's been parents that they don't bitch about their kids or whatever. They're really good people and they jump in like that's way different than I thought.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
so
it pops in my head right away is Doug sport car Aliciani. She does timing. Yeah, I think you know her from she comes in. So she won the Super Series championship a couple years ago now. Well, when she was first starting out, she was getting better or whatever, but everybody sucks when they start, right? Well, except for Sheldon apparently, but almost everybody sucks, and she did at the time,
Right.
and she was getting better. But Doug was just lacing into her, right? And so finally, he ends up going out there, and he has a hard time, and she's like, "See, I told you, it's not as easy as you think it is." Blah blah blah.
yeah.
Troy, well, like I said, this has been awesome, and like I said at the very beginning, looking around and seeing all the different things. As you mentioned, the legacy that you're kind of carrying on is being able to have all these different people you've worked with and all these different lives you've touched, etc. And obviously, having a track allows you to do that a lot more. And I know that's what Derek and I really, really enjoy about being a part of CalSpeed is being able to be a part of the sport that we love, and like you said, the family and the community and things like that.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to be many, many more years of you doing exactly that moving forward, whether it be from the coaching or the track.
We're hoping. You know, at the end of the day, it's been a blessing. First and foremost, thank you guys for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for letting us back.
No, it's been again, we see each other at the track. We never get a chance to, I would say, break bread and just have a nice conversation.
It's really
over
a high
things.
buy.
It's different,
You know, everyone's busy.
Yeah, but it's been a blessing for us, for me, to be in the industry. A blessing and a curse. I always say that. The curse is I'm in racing, right? It's not a whole bunch of money. People think I get, travel all over the world and it's just a great time, but I don't get a chance to see any of the countries that I go into or the cities. But the same token, I get to see a lot of young people and families stay together because of our sport. I get to see a lot of young kids mature to be very successful in the industry and or out of the industry, i.e. Jesus and I mean, a list of other individuals. But hopefully we can, continue to do it. Hopefully my son's successful, whether it's in racing or business or whatever else he can, and we can continue to do this more often.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you end up listening to any more episodes or whatever, there's going to be pretty much every single one that has Adams Kart Track or Troy Adams in there.
That's cool.
I'd
Yeah.
be curious for you to listen to the Jesus episode and fact check it for us.
Okay.
Really let us know what,
let us
what
know.
the deal is.
Nah, that's an incredible story.
Yeah,
that was
success
awesome.
story, and
Yeah.
he's done a phenomenal job at his business and with every kid, right? Like Jesus, there's so many people that it took for him to become and be who he is, whether it's Doug Fleming and teaching him in the beginning, to the Martinez family, to us, to Mr. Mack and John Bush teaching him how to, spending hours on how to straighten and align a chain.
Well, but at the end of the day, it took somebody going, "Hey, you want to cut my grass?"
Yeah.
So I mean, I get
Yeah.
we put a pin on that thing, just going. At the end of the day, you have become the catalyst of so many people's opportunities and careers, etc. And
Yeah.
that's got to feel pretty damn cool.
It
So
does.
good on
Like
you,
I said,
bud.
it's a blessing. I learn it's just as much as they. It's for me. It really is about them, and they've taught me a lot. He's taught me a lot, still teaching me, as all my other kids. But I'm just glad that the track has been here as long as it has been, and I've been able to be a part of all these kids and all these families.
Well, thanks again, Troy. Thanks
thank
Yeah,
you
this
guys.
has been awesome, man.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.